back.
Here we are
back live on the stream. What is happening, everybody? Woo! What a week. What a week. What a week.
Yeah. I'm still digesting a lot of this stuff, man. I'm trying to wrap my head around it before we start recording this show.
I'm still back in G1 territory. To be completely honest.
I'm still trying to catch up on my sleep from watching all that glorious Japanese wrestling.
Ooh. Oh, man. Well, guys, I hope you had a good weekend. I hope you had a great week. Lots of wrestling going down. Just wanted to say we're ready to go. I think we're not even going to really wait anymore. We got a bunch of people in the chat already. It's I'm loving it. Thank you guys for joining us.
Why wait? There's so much to get to. It's like I'm afraid to say something right now because there's so much in my notes here that we've got to get to, and I don't want to spoil it.
Well, let's kick things right off with our friends over at Blueberry. We're ready to go. Are you guys ready to go? Here we go.
Let's do it. This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all of the necessary links to share your show with.
Ian, I'm glad we do this live thing. I just messed up for the first time.
Oh, really? What
live
happened?
on camera. I forgot to hit record. That's pretty important to do.
Yeah, probably should do that.
Let's try that again.
There you go, buddy. Hit it.
All right, let's do that all over again, guys. Hang tight. Here we go again. Push and record, and we're recording. All right, good. Here we go again. This episode of the Busted Wide Open podcast is brought to you by Blueberry. Blueberry offers the best media hosting, accurate listening stats, and their all-new PowerPress Deluxe sites, a no-setup WordPress website for your podcast with all the necessary links to share your show with the world built right in. If you currently produce a podcast and are looking for a better host, or if you're looking to start a new one from scratch, head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO and sign up for the best media hosting and a PowerPress Deluxe site to get your first month absolutely free. That's orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO, or just use the promo code BWO at checkout for your first month absolutely free. And now, enjoy the show.
This is the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Will Ospreay, and you are listening to Busted Wide Open. Thank you.
You're listening to the Busted Wide Open podcast, dropping the elbow on the hottest topics in sports entertainment and the world of professional wrestling. With your hosts, Nick Howell and Sir Ian Dangerous. Coming to you from the Orbital Jigsaw Network Arena in sunny Southern California. Welcome back to the Busted Wide Open podcast, but if this is your first time joining the show, I'd like to welcome you to episode number 86. I'm Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous, and we are in the go-home week for SummerSlam. WWE's SummerSlam is coming up this coming Sunday. We've also got NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 coming up on Saturday. And we're still recovering from the G1 over in New Japan that had that wrapped up last weekend. So we got a lot to talk about this week, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yes, me too. Absolutely. But before we get started, I just want to invite everybody here listening to the show to come over to YouTube, join us on our all-new YouTube channel. We are live streaming all of these episodes to all of our lovely listeners, so you can come and interact with us on the show and come be a part of it right there.
A nice little live chat going on right here.
Yeah, we do. It's lively in there. But also the center, the hub of our operation is over on Facebook. Come join the Busted Wide Open discussion group. We'll get you in there, post some funny memes, all kinds of good articles, fun videos, legacy throwback stuff, and all kinds of good discussions. Last but certainly not least, you can find us over on Twitter at BWO Podcast. It was a very lively conversation going on this past weekend during the G1 finals.
Oh, man.
With the Tongans interfering and just all kinds of stuff. So thanks for hanging with us on Twitter this past weekend. But Ian, we are on the road, man. We're here. We've been on the road. We're here. It's finally here. and I am very, very excited about SummerSlam.
Yeah, you're starting to get a little hyped up. This week got you hyped up on it?
Yeah, I think the G1 had a little bit to do with that, and then now that that's kind of past us and we're moving on, now we can be excited for SummerSlam.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you guys are excited for SummerSlam too, please head over to our Facebook discussion group, because that's where we post a lot of the stuff for the show. That is the hub, as Nick mentioned. In addition, if you'd like to interact more with the show, we do have a bunch of tiers over on Patreon.
Yes.
You can check out as well. If you pay for the $1 the tip jar, and then $5 will get you the ability to ask questions of the show, have your listener questions read on the air.
Buy me and Ian a cup of coffee once a month.
Exactly.
That's really what it comes down to.
It's a way that we keep this show going at as high a quality as we can attempt to produce.
Yes.
In addition, it does us a big solid to go to YouTube and follow us on YouTube and sign up and follow the show. In addition, let other people know to sign up as well. And the same goes for if you're listening to us on a podcast. Go to your podcast app of choice. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button and share it. And also leave us a review. You know, reviews help us figure out what to do as far as what you guys want to hear and what kind of presentation you want us to have on this show. But that being said, we got that out of the way. Let's get to the fun stuff and head over and talk about the big news.
I'm starting to get a little frustrated. Over the past few years, we've had this trend happening in the music business where a lot of our 90s icons have been passing away on us.
90s.
It's just getting to that time. Well,
all my heroes are dead, dude.
Sure. It's starting to be a recurring thing that this is happening to a lot of the icons. We're getting to that time where it's happening to a lot of the 80s and 90s icons in pro wrestling.
You know, I'm actually going to counter that by saying that I think pro wrestling actually prepared for me for when all my musical icons began to die, because people have been dying in pro wrestling my entire freaking life. People have been dying before their time.
That's true.
And unfortunately, this week we have to announce the passing of Jim the Anvil Neidhart. He's imitating the laugh, not laughing at the passing of Jim Neidhart. Let's be clear about what just happened there.
I'll pull on my goatee a little bit.
There you go. That'll help the impression. Right. So this is very sad. It's actually the last member of the Hart Foundation, besides Bret Hart himself, to pass away. Obviously, we've also lost Flying Brian Pillman way back in the day.
Yeah.
Owen Hart, obviously, as well, passed away. British Bulldog. Neidhart was the very last one, and that is very sad, because he was the original pretty much. And if you don't know, he's also the father of current WWE superstar Natalya.
Yes.
Who was out of the show this week because obviously dealing with the passing of her father.
Right.
Apparently, from what I understand, he suffered some sort of he'd been having seizures lately, and I guess he had a seizure and fell and hit his head and did not recover. So very sad to hear. Definitely too young at, I believe, 66. I have to look at my notes again. But yeah, so R.I.P. Anvil. I remember him being a real powerhouse.
Absolutely. Well, he was the powerhouse of the Hart Foundation, for sure. One other one we have to mention outside of the wrestling business, the absolute queen of all of the musical divas, in my opinion.
The diva.
The diva. Literally this morning, Aretha Franklin passed away.
Now, the reason that we bring this up, actually, there is a wrestling connection.
There is, okay.
Yes, because she sang America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 3.
Oh, wow.
And possibly one of the best renditions of that song, by the way. If you have not seen it, I guarantee it's on YouTube right now. It's probably getting getting pushed a lot on YouTube, because it's just mind-blowing. It's so good. It's one of the reasons why that show started so hype, was Aretha singing that. So that's the wrestling connection there. But obviously her influence goes way far beyond just wrestling to being one of the greatest singing artists of all time.
Yeah.
Hands down. So sad week to begin with the passing of Neidhart and Aretha Franklin. We also have to talk about some rather uncomfortable stuff here too.
Drama.
This could get a little bit more entertaining. So a couple of people in wrestling are in a bit of hot water this week. We're going to start talking about Mr. Randy Orton and some allegations about him that have popped back up. This week, I guess Court Bauer back in 2012 gave an interview on a radio show, saying that Randy Orton had it was on the MLW podcast episode number 49, and Court Bauer alleges that Orton had a habit of exposing himself to new writers. Not only would he expose himself, basically a new writer would show up. Randy Orton would roll into the room, pull out his junk, rub his hand on it, and then stick his hand out to shake their hand. And when they obviously would not shake his hand, he would say, I'm Randy Orton, shake my hand. You don't want to shake my hand? You're big leaguing me? That's effed up, man. Should I tell Vince and Stephanie that you won't shake Randy Orton's hand? And apparently intimidated a number of writers with that. This week, Court was asked if that was true. He only tweeted back, yes. And when other writers from that time, this was allegedly around 2005, 2006, when other writers from that era were asked about it, they would not directly corroborate, but a lot of them would said that they would never shake Randy Orton's hand, or that they were not surprised, or that they straight up just didn't want to comment. So no one coming to the Viper's defense of pulling out his little Viper and rubbing his hand on it. Right now, WWE has only said that they are looking into it. They are going to investigate it. This is something I suspect will be just swept under the rug. Randy having a long history of questionable activities that have been swept under the rug. Yeah, by WWE or by Time.
I mean, at least he didn't pull a Louis C.K. and walk into the writer's room and start, beating it.
I mean, nothing to say that he didn't.
That's fair, but
but at the same time, this now. So here's the thing, though, is that wrestling also has a storied history of ribbing, and sometimes this ribbing was could be taken as being sexual in nature. Cornette, for example, came forward and said that this just sounds like an old rib, like it didn't sound like anything too out of the ordinary. Now, that doesn't excuse it, obviously. We are in a very different era now, however, than the era that they used to live in. JBL is now getting called out for a lot of the old hazing that he used to do. A lot of the stuff that used to happen as far as hazing in the locker rooms is now coming out, and we're finding a lot of the stuff that in any other professional company would be considered wildly inappropriate, that went on and sometimes was not only blatantly overlooked by management, but encouraged.
I played sports and I went to a military academy. You don't have to explain a lot of this stuff to me. It's a real thing. It happened. And, in a way it was viewed as a rite of passage. It's not something I ever really took offense to, but in this day and age, it's not something that you can honestly get away with. It brings up a much bigger discussion of should we punish people for their past actions and where you draw that line. We've had James Gunn in the news recently with Guardians of the Galaxy and his comedic tweets. I'm doing air quotes. So it's a matter of opinion in that sense, and it's subjective. Everybody's going to have a different thing. I don't think it's appropriate. It's unprofessional in that kind of a setting. If it is true that Randy did these kinds of things, and that would be where I kind of drew the line. If it's you and the boys in the locker room before the show goofing off, and that's a different thing to me. But if you're walking into a professional business setting with coworkers, right, outside of a locker room kind of setting, so to speak. That's where I would be like, that's out of taste.
And this is the thing, this is why I don't expect Randy Orton to have any kind of punitive measures taken against him unless this really gets picked up by the mainstream media and the hounds of justice, if you will, come flying after him. I expect this to kind of be quietly swept aside. Yeah. It's one of those things that exists in wrestling's past that is going to start getting phased out more and more as everything in the WWE particularly becomes more professional and mainstream. Again, this happened in 05-06. If this was something that happened in 15-16, I think it would have been taken as a lot bigger deal. And I think that if something that was more recent would be treated more seriously.
Yeah.
But in this particular case, this just sounds like the kind of crap that went on then. Yeah. And WWE has changed a lot in terms of the environment since then. You even hear that from people who were back in the locker room saying it's a totally different environment than it was in the 2000s and in the 90s, and really different than it was in the 80s. So I can only imagine it will continue to evolve, and this is just an incident from the past. It's rearing its ugly head.
Yeah.
Pardon the pun for right now.
The other one we got to talk about. So good luck, Randy, in your.
I'm not wishing him good luck, man.
I'm not going to say future endeavors, but
I'm not going to. I mean,
stay strong, man.
I hate to say it was a dick move, but it was kind of a dick move. Oh. But I'm not going to wish him any luck with that. That's you're a jerk, Randy.
Yeah, well, fine. The other one we got to talk about that was big news. I think it started coming out over the last couple of days. Was Dave Meltzer on their podcast made some comments around Peyton Royce and how she was, I'm going to do air quotes again, lighter in NXT. And again, this is one of those things where the body image is such a big part of is kind of passed over. Like we always say, guys look yoked. They're hosses. We use all these adjectives and descriptives.
He got really jacked,
right.
He's really ripped right now.
Oh man, he's
put on some
up.
weight.
Look at he's been in the gym cutting up. We make all those kinds of comments.
Sure. And
it feels like so Meltzer made some comments about Peyton Royce being lighter in NXT.
Well, let's preface this by saying that what initially happened was the Wrestling Observer Online podcast. There was a clip from that show that was tweeted at Peyton Royce, and it was of Dave and Brian talking about the difference between the Iconics in NXT and the Iconics now on the main roster in SmackDown, and how they weren't quite as over, they weren't working quite as well. And from what I understand, the quote itself was basically they were going back and forth about the difference between NXT and the main roster, and Dave was saying there was more character in NXT. He liked how Peyton looked better in NXT, and it sounded, if you listen to the whole clip, like he was dancing around trying to say that he liked her better before she got her breast implants. And what he was meaning by she was lighter was his way of saying, I don't like the breast implants. Unfortunately, it was a really, really dumb way of saying it. And, when you take it out of context, it sounds like he's calling her, like she said, oh, she put on weight and I don't like it. Of course, Peyton, when she heard this, tweeted at Dave, what would you have me do? Starve myself. This is how nightmares for young women start. The females in your life must be proud. And then, as we were saying, all hell broke loose. Basically, everyone came to White Knight Peyton on her Twitter page. Right. Everyone came to just destroy Dave on his. And there were some people there to defend Dave as well. This became a whole Twitter thing because that never happens these days. Everyone loves to have their opinions out on Twitter and be, vocal.
The White Knights, like you said.
Well, both for everybody involved here and get their 140 character opinions out. All I guess is, what is it, 280 now?
280. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not up on this stuff. But the bottom line is that Dave did come back with an apology right away. Not the best worded apology. He said, I'd like to apologize to you. You are an exceedingly attractive woman. I do realize the lengths and pressures on women in the entertainment world to maintain unnatural looks at times, and I'm glad you pointed this out. And then he got annihilated for that because it was a non-apology. He said, I'd like to apologize to you, not I'm apologizing to you.
Or I apologize.
You are an exceedingly attractive woman. What does that have to do with anything? Basically, everyone jumped on him for the apology. And he just got reamed for the rest of the day.
How much of this is trolling? How much of this is legit? It's
a typical Twitter stuff.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, stepping back and looking at this arbitrarily and unemotionally, Dave said something dumb that was frankly taken out of context, but still dumb. And then everybody, I think, overreacted to that and jumped on him. A lot of people in the WWE, a lot of staff members and superstars immediately jumped on Dave. And Dave is a very polarizing figure to begin with, so it's easy to get people riled up at him. I personally think that throughout the day, he did a good job of very humbly apologizing and trying to move forward with it. If you read all the Twitter feeds, I think he did do a good job of, saying I was wrong. I messed up. I'm learning a lesson here, and what happened to me can be a lesson for other people. I thought he did a good job with that. I thought there were some people who were engaging in a good discussion. Tyler Breeze, for example, directly tweeted at Dave and said, "Look, Dave, you need to take accountability for this. Learn to be better and be an example." And Dave said, "You're absolutely right." So there is an upside to this, but at the end of the day, some of the people that were coming to defend Dave made some good points as well. And I would have to say that at the end of this, there are some people right and wrong on every side here. I can see both sides of this. People who, as you stated earlier, wrestling is a very visually based commodity.
You're right.
And so talking about people's visual appearances and their bodies is part of any discussion of wrestling. We've done it as well. And another point that was made was how there's almost a double standard here where WWE can run. We've called this out on this show where WWE runs fat shaming angles, whether it's Nia Jax, who's openly come out and said she's been fat shamed in the locker room, Piggy James, which was an angle once upon a time, calling Dana Brooke Miss Piggy in promos. You know what I mean? Like this, there's not everybody here is innocent. So to say that Dave, because he's giving an opinion on an industry that's built on looks, he said something real dumb, and he said it in a not very well thought out way.
Agreed.
But at the end of the day, I don't think he's really the person that should be stuck up on a pole and beaten with sticks.
No.
If everything's going to be equal here.
Where's Vince Russo? Let's go find. Let's do that. You know. Anyway. That's it for the big news, guys. Would love to hear your thoughts in the Facebook discussion group on what you thought about some of those things. I know there was some conversation that happened this week, specifically around.
Yeah, those are both some really good conversation points. I'd love to talk about more. We don't have time.
I'd love
to
hear from our female representatives on what they thought about this exchange, because I personally think I love that we have these conversations out in the open now, and it's not stigmatized. It is a little bit.
Well, let's be clear. Let's have a conversation, not a yelling match, because that's what this devolved into online. And I'd love to hear an actual conversation about it.
Yes, yes. I mean, how do you compare body image in the things that we look at in the WWE and judge people by their abilities and their abs? You know, Tony Nese comes out and counts his abs every week.
Right.
You know,
I would love to have a discussion about the relativity between talking about body images about men and about women and all of that. But that's not for this show. That's for our online discussion, and maybe even down the road we'll do an extra episode about that as well. Once we get some feedback, we can have some good
slippery
good grist.
slope, but you know, it's a good one worth having.
That's why we're got to be real careful when we record. But in the meantime, we do need to get to the meat of our show today. We got a lot to talk about, whether it's New Japan, Lucha Underground, the G1 with the Summerslams coming up, Takeover. But to do all that, we need to start talking about Monday Night Raw.
All right, I'll fix that in post. Well, kicking things off on Monday Night Raw, we have to announce that Renee Young was on commentary.
Man, this was a long time coming. Now, this is one thing I thought was interesting, is at no point did they connect this to the women's evolution. This was just a thing that happened. This was just coaches out of town, Renee's on commentary.
And that was it. And I loved that.
Yes, I think that should just be something that it's just a matter-of-fact thing. Yes, Renee Young is a commentator, and she called Monday Night Raw. And may I say, now, all things being equal, she did come off as a little bit green. That's to be expected. Sure. It's her first night. Last time she called a match was back in NXT.
Cole's been doing it 20 years. Yeah. Of course she's going to be a little
compared
green.
to her, Cole and Graves, who've got a rhythm going.
Yeah.
A little green. Definitely was getting fed some lines here and there. But she was great. At no point was I cringing. At no point was I rolling my eyes like I do with Coach all the time, or Booker T.
Yeah.
I thought she was great. I liked having another voice on there, and for the most part, I thought she was really, really good. I really hope she sticks around. I have a feeling that she's going to be, if they break it off and have a whole women's division, she'll be the voice there. They might be getting her ready for the Mae Young Classic, which she's also calling. But man, I would love to see her be the third person in a three-party commentating team on either Raw or SmackDown.
Me too. I have one little issue that I picked up on that I would suggest that they would need to fix, though. And it has absolutely nothing to do with her ability or anything. Did you notice that the frequency of her voice, of her tone, is almost the same as the screams and cheers that come from the crowd? And as an audio nerd, I picked up on that it was kind of drowning her out, whereas with Cole and Graves, with their different kind of deeper tones that they have, you can hear it over the top of the crowd. And I remember texting you, I'm like, they need to bump her fader up about 5 dB.
For those of you who don't know, Nick is our tech guy on this show, and so that's of course that's the take that you would take on it.
You're a musician too. You understand frequencies and EQ and all that stuff. Anyway,
I didn't pick up on that at all. I mean, I did pick up her being a little bit quiet, a little bit thin at some points.
Only at the beginning, really.
Yeah, so maybe they did fix it.
Maybe tuned it up.
Maybe someone fixed it in the trunk.
That was the only issue that I had of anything whatsoever. She did a fantastic job as kind of the first time throwing her into the deep end of the pool of Monday Night Raw. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We'd all sound like idiots, blubbering idiots the first time
we would be nowhere near as good as she was on that, and she is obviously far and away better at doing that than we could be in a long time. But here's the thing. It was also very appropriate that Renee was on commentary, because one of the main event, one of the biggest things that happened this Monday Night Raw, and something we have to talk about, is the fact that there's a current feud going on between Seth Rollins and Dolph Ziggler, with Dolph Ziggler's buddy Drew McIntyre in his corner. Seth's obviously been going for Ziggler's Intercontinental belt.
Trying to get it back, yep.
Trying to get it back from him, but it's hard to do when you've got two guys to face. Drew always in Ziggler's corner messing things up. Well, this week, we found out that not only did Ziggler have to sign the contract for the SummerSlam match, assuming that Seth was not in the building.
He was in China doing some media tour kind of thing, right?
So throughout the whole episode of Raw, Ziggler and McIntyre were saying, Seth better show up or we're going to sign this contract and the match is going to be voided and we don't have to fight.
Yep.
And so at the end of the show, no Seth. They go to sign the contract. Ziggler signs it, and as soon as he signs it, out comes Seth Rollins to say, well, I didn't want you to get some information before you signed that would make you not want to sign it. So now that you signed it, there's something you should know. I'm not going to be alone against the two of you anymore. I had to go pick up a buddy of mine and hear, oh, let me get the exact line right because it was a great line. You may have a psychopath in your corner, Dolph, but that means to counter a psychopath, I need a lunatic. And out comes Dean Ambrose.
Awesome.
That was, and first of all,
and his shaved head with a beard looks
God.
like a lunatic.
He looked like a Mack truck. He looks fantastic. He is jacked. He is jacked compared to the last time we saw him. As you said, he shaved his head, which is a great look for him. He's got the beard going on now. He looked extra mean. It was a great physical, just like a little tweak to his physical appearance, and he looks even more insane and intimidating. It's a great look for him. He came back looking
somebody
fantastic.
you'd see in like a basement fight club or something. It's just, it looks, and then when if he comes out taping up his hands and his wrists like he normally does, that's going to be an amazing look for him.
And it reminds me of a lot of people.
Are we judging his body image right now?
Absolutely, positively though, so it's okay.
Sure.
He looked like Simon Pegg when he turned into the Hulk. You know, like if Simon Pegg turned into the Hulk, he'd look like Dean Ambrose.
Okay.
Get that out of your head.
But lots can go down now with Dean Ambrose back about a month early as well from the projection.
Well, they always project long to make it exciting when they come back early, but that's neither here nor there. The point is he's back. We thought he might not come out until SummerSlam. They did it early. So that's really the thing we have to think about here is he's back early. Does that information, was that just to make the match more exciting, to sell SummerSlam more? Or is that because it would just be too fast for him to come back at SummerSlam and then have something happen? Whether it's a heel turn swerve or how Dean gets involved or whatever it is.
I think there's grander plans at play here.
Yeah.
I think there's something, this is going to end in several different possible ways, not the way we are going to expect, I'm going to bet. So,
yeah, I would have to agree. I think that there's some little tweak that's going to happen here. Or we could just be reading way too much into it, and it could just be a straightforward, welcome home, Dean. Seth wins the title. Who knows? The bottom line is Dean's back, and if they don't turn Dean heel, I could actually see a really awesome program between him and McIntyre going forward.
Yep.
So I'm actually
Lunatic
not
versus the psychopath.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not 100% on Dean turning heel. I could be really happy with him staying face. And,
you were really high
Drew.
on Ambrose and Rollins as a tag team last year. I remember that.
There was the reformation of the Shield, and the way that they did it was the best part of that whole angle.
Yeah.
So absolutely, give me some Psycho Dean with this new look.
Absolutely. So lots to talk about there. I'm going to wait until we get down to our pick'ems to really dive into
we got a lot more to get
my
to.
Theory crafting about what I think is going to go down there. Let's go talk about Paul Heyman coming out and doing a really weird kind of promo, but still amazing in its own right.
Well, so
this week,
yeah, let's set this up. We've got so last week, obviously Roman Reigns. Last week Paul Heyman gave a very emotional interview.
Yes.
With Renee Young, crying the entire time, and they said this week at the end, he said, "Well, the only way Roman's going to beat Brock is, well, I can't tell you." And he scuttles off. So this week Roman comes out to the ring, says his piece. And Paul Heyman ends up coming down to the ring and, to simplify it, essentially offers Roman a kind of Faustian bargain, saying, if you want to beat Brock, join up with me. Let me be your advocate. And then, I can tell you how to beat Brock.
Yep.
Of course, Roman rejecting this offer as the good guy that he is.
By golly.
But this is where I thought it got interesting. And I liked the idea of this kind of Faustian bargain being offered to Roman. I thought that was
referring to like a deal with the devil.
Exactly.
For those of us not, that don't read Dante
read
and all
book,
of that stuff,
man.
right?
I thought that was a really cool dynamic. It actually, I thought it brought out an interesting aspect of Roman's character. Again, nothing Roman did, just the environment he was placed in offered this option and turning it down. Great, that's good stuff. But then Paul went into saying, I get it. I used to ride back in the day. Like, I know when you were young, you were brought up to respect all of these wonderful things. Well,
sure.
When I was that age, when I was 16, 17, I was riding in cars with your dad and your uncle. And they told me something that I'm sure that they told you when you were a kid. And he started speaking to Roman in Samoan.
That was odd.
Which made Roman's jaw drop. I was like, this is really good stuff.
Yeah.
And then presented Roman with a piece of paper. And he said, here's a proposal, a written proposal. Think about it. And while Roman was looking at the paper, Paul sprays him with mace. Maces the crap out of him.
Didn't see that coming.
This is where the swerve started getting weird for me, because then Brock Lesnar surprisingly comes out, beats the crap out of Roman. Paul is back to holding up the Universal Championship high, and apparently being totally okay with Brock. The commentary was putting it over like this whole last couple of weeks, Brock putting hands on Paul freaking out, and the whole interview last week was all a work. They were all just trying to trick Reigns into getting Brock to beat him up again, which to me is a big letdown for all the work that Paul did. It seems like there was so much good drama built up, and they're just kind of going, yeah, that was all a joke. Everything's back to normal. So I'm really hoping, really hoping, and a lot of people have said this online as well, that this is all a build-up to some sort of double swerve at SummerSlam. There's something written on that piece of paper, for example, the warning Reigns about what was about to happen.
Okay.
Or something like that, where there's a double turn and Paul joins up with Roman. Something. If it's just back to normal and Paul and Brock just pulled one over on Roman after 2 weeks of build, I feel that kind of takes away a lot of the really interesting aspects of this story that they built. You know what I mean? It sets it back to zero.
Yes, but I think if what we all kind of expect to happen ends up happening, Paul is still going to need to have a job if Brock goes off and does something else. So I think this adds an interesting dynamic where Paul can still interact in some way on WWE once we're post Lesnar.
But in what way? He's got to represent somebody, right?
Sure.
He's got to have some sort of position of authority in order to have anything to do.
Sure. There's nothing saying he can't go find somebody else to represent.
But who's the next Paul Heyman guy? I know that's a whole rabbit hole.
Oh,
let's
man.
not go down the who's the next Paul Heyman guy rabbit hole there. But let's just leave this by saying, at this point, this could either be, in my opinion, a missed opportunity, or this could be the beginning of a really interesting bunch of devious plot twists.
Yeah.
And I really hope that they don't just drop the ball on this one. I had a nickel for every time I said that. But if I really hope that they take this opportunity to take what could be a very intriguing storyline and really run with it. Because even if Brock drops the belt, there's a lot more they could do if they have this all be a double swerve.
How about Paul representing Kevin Owens?
Mm-hmm. That's definitely a thought. Or Braun Strowman heel turn. I don't know.
Nah,
Something.
Not yet.
Again,
not ready for that yet.
Let's not speculate on who could be the next Paul Heyman guy, because that could go forever. The real question at the end of the day is, okay, let's put a little bow on top of the whole Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar shenanigans up to this point.
Go out with a bang.
The whole program as it is so far, from the time of WrestleMania to now, do you feel that the audience has turned towards Roman a little more? Have they done a good job in getting enough heat on Brock to get sympathy for Roman?
I don't know if sympathy is the right word. They've definitely come around. I've definitely, I'm not in the Roman wheelhouse. I don't have action figures hanging off of my boom arm or anything like that. But it's a matter of, I feel differently a year ago. I feel differently now than I did a year ago about Roman. And even as recently as WrestleMania, when we were talking about, look, F it, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and get this over with. I'm even at a point now where it's like, okay, maybe he deserves this a little bit because he's been such a trooper over the last couple of years. There's part of me that wants to go, and that's kind of the sympathy I think you're alluding to. I think there's a part of the universe, the WWE universe, that sympathizes in that respect, that he's been shit on essentially for the last 3 years in this I don't want to say underdog, but kind of underling
absolutely
role.
Underdog, yeah.
So it's the big dog role, not the underdog. Anyway.
Well, that's the irony of the whole thing. So this is the thing: we don't really want to get too much into Roman right now. I'd love to hear if anyone in the chat has a couple of thoughts, but I don't want to get too far down the let's look at Roman overall aspect because
we never do that.
Well, no, we do actually, because we do have a special plan for the show. If you are a subscriber on our Patreon, you will get a bonus episode that we'll be recording next Monday that will feature 45 minutes of us talking about Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
And I know that can sound a little off-putting, but it's going to be kind of the statement, the State of the Union on one of the biggest guys in pro wrestling, and as a result, what we expect going forward with one of the biggest organizations in professional wrestling.
Right.
I think that's going to be a really interesting episode.
And we're intentionally waiting till after we see what
SummerSlam.
happens this weekend to kind of be able to finish that episode off.
Because it's going to be a big moment in his career, and therefore, as a result, in WWE's trajectory.
Yep.
So I think that's something that we're going to really look a lot more at in that episode. So let's just really quickly, I think that Roman has definitely turned some heads with all of this, and they've done a good job. But I also think that Brock Lesnar, I mean, if you look at the end of this segment when Brock comes out and beats up Roman, puts him in a guillotine choke, and gives him an F5.
After he's been blinded and sprayed with mace.
And then the audience is still chanting, one more time, one more time.
Right.
There's obviously still enough people who don't like Roman. And he still got the biggest reaction on the show.
Yeah.
We did have someone in the chat. Judith just said every time he sucker punches Corbin, he gets a little more over with me, and I have to agree.
Touché.
He does sucker punch Corbin pretty well.
Yes. Continue that, please.
But the bottom line is
before authority angle with champion Roman Reigns.
I worry that in trying to make Brock as evil as they can possibly make him, and as against the WWE universe as they possibly can.
Yeah.
They haven't really worked on Roman, and working on Roman is the issue. It's not everything around him. It's not, you can put him with Seth all you want. You can make his opponents as evil as you want. You gotta fix the problems that are with the Roman character.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that.
Well, we got to get through the rest of Monday Night Raw because there was some other good stuff that was going on. Yeah, Baron Corbin had a match with Tyler Breeze. Now, I want to say before we get into this, I'm excited to see Tyler.
Extremely talented. Very
talented in-ring worker as well. So I
there's a reason they picked him to actually be the guy who wrestled Jushin Thunder Liger when he had a quick match in NXT.
Thank you. Yep.
So
anyway, he basically got destroyed by Baron Corbin in an angle that was just meant to set up Corbin and Finn Balor.
Well, of course, and that was Corbin's whole point, was he was going to book a match for himself where he could kill a guy, and then he was going to book a handicap match for Finn Balor where Finn Balor could get killed when Finn Balor had to face Kevin Owens and Jinder Mahal.
I'm loving Constable Corbin.
I am too. The interesting thing about this match is poor Tyler Breeze got beaten by a deep six, which I think the first time that move has ever beaten anybody. It's a signature move, not a finisher, so I was surprised that he took the pin to that. But Kurt, trying to right the wrongs of Baron Corbin, came out and changed the handicap match for Finn Balor into a proper tag match with Finn Balor's partner, Braun Strowman, which of course makes sense because he's got a match against Kevin Owens coming up on Sunday. So having him across the ring from Kevin Owens makes all kinds of sense to build that feud as well.
Query, sir, if I may. What the hell does Jinder Mahal have to do with any of this?
I don't know. He feels kind of like a fifth wheel, doesn't he?
Yeah, it feels like they're trying to compete with what SmackDown Live was doing at the turn of the year.
I mean, it's one of it's just, Jinder's under contract. He does seem to be well liked backstage, so they want to get him out there and have him get something to do, but they don't have a real feud for him. So at least he's getting out there and getting some time. He doesn't have a match on Sunday, but I wouldn't say that means we won't see him on Sunday.
Yeah.
Which I'll get more into when we take our picks for SummerSlam. But I do think it might be a little bit dangerous for Owens' character to have him hanging out with Jinder Mahal now that Jinder's kind of going more towards being a comedy character.
Right.
I think that could be dangerous for Owens because it's really easy to have Kevin Owens be...
That's old with him, though.
A comedy character. What do you mean?
He's done it with Jericho. He's done it with Sami Zayn. It's just this...
But that's kind of what I'm saying is that's always bad. That doesn't make his character.
It's never ended well for him.
It's never ended well. It ended well with Jericho to a point, and then it kind of went off the rails once they began feuding.
The Festival of Friendship was a great ending to all of that. So
exactly. And as long as at some point you bring out the vicious part of Kevin Owens, you can redeem him. But unfortunately, and we're going to talk about his physical attributes here. Due to his size and his look, he's going to.
He was lighter in NXT.
I don't think he was.
No, okay.
I don't know. Jesus, Nick. But he's wearing Spanx now as part of it.
Oh, okay.
But the fact of the matter is Kevin's a big guy who's not big enough to be a big guy, if that makes sense.
It does.
So
I know what you mean.
He has to have that extra added viciousness to be taken seriously. So having too much comedy with his character, unfortunately, makes him look too goofy. And he's really good at portraying a vicious guy. It's just when he's surrounded by too much comedy, it detracts from that. So that's going to get that off my chest when it comes to my appraisal of his character and putting him with comedy acts.
Yeah. I think we're getting ready to see something, some big time out of Kevin Owens, if I'm being honest.
We'll talk about that in the
more
picks.
coming in a little bit. Hey, Ember Moon had a fantastic match against Alexa Bliss this week.
Yes, she did.
And I think we've been saying for a couple of months now at least that they had her kind of just waiting in the wings until we get past this Alexa Bliss Ronda Rousey thing. And I think this was a little bit of just the tip kind of tease to see what we got to expect later this year from Ember Moon.
Yeah, it's funny because I think this might have been a last-minute change-up, and this was originally supposed to be Natalia's spot because it seems random to have Ember come out of nowhere. But lucky for us and lucky for Ember because it was a really good showing for her. They actually had her almost beat Alexa clean if Foxy hadn't interfered.
Sure.
She had her dead to right. She gave her the Eclipse, and she was down. Like, it was done.
Alexa sold it like death. It was brilliant.
As you should with that move.
Yep.
But it was a really solid match. Ember looked great in the match, and it was a competitive match. It was fun, but it definitely, I think, hints at the fact that they want to keep Ember looking really strong because they are waiting for her to have a big moment and a big angle. The other thing to talk about this whole segment was it began with Ronda Rousey coming down before the match and giving a really nice, I'm going to say heartfelt discussion of the passing of Jim Neidhart and Natalya specifically, and you know, who's
I
genuinely
took it
her
as
friend.
sincere. I didn't read any kind of play up into it or using that platform for that or
put over the match.
Sure,
kind of thing. Yeah. Some people,
I read it as sincere. But look, there's off the outside of the storyline and stuff. It's no secret that Natty has been one of the champions alongside of Stephanie to get Ronda to come over to WWE and get her signed and assimilated and done all the work. And she's known as the trainer backstage for some of the new talent. So it's no surprise to me that she has a lot of heart and a lot of emotion for Natalya and for that family. So I took it as completely sincere.
Well, and in addition, the speech I thought was really eloquently written.
Yeah.
I thought it was particularly appropriate for her because it was about fathers and what fathers mean in your life. And that's particularly relevant for her in real life because her father passed away when she was 8. And that proving that she can do the work on the mic. She's also proving she's scared of bats. If you didn't see, there was a bat that flew right next to the ring and crashed.
I totally missed that.
Yeah. Go on YouTube. You can find it. There was a moment where a bat almost hits Ronda and it flies into the barricade near the ring. And she kind of turns around and goes, "That's a bat. That's a boy. That's a bat."
That's funny.
So yeah, you won't see her at a Batman movie anytime soon.
No. So we did get Alexa Bliss coming out, and right after the speech was done, but she didn't come alone. She brought an entire army of security guards with her, and this led to one of my favorite kind of funny moments of the week. Of course, there was a standoff in the middle of the ring. Alexa on one side, the security guards in the middle. Reminded me of the Goldberg-Brock Lesnar standoff we had a year or so ago. And it was, of course, Ronda is just going to destroy these guys, throws judo hip throws into all of them, punches the shit out of another one, and she turns around to the last guy that's standing there, and he has the look of fear of death, like he's seeing his final moments flash before his eyes.
Yeah.
With crazy rowdy Ronda Rousey about to just take him down.
Great sports entertainment pro wrestling moment was that guy just selling Ronda like a demon. No, that was all good stuff, and that was all right before the match too. And then you had that great match. So this whole segment I really liked. I thought that was a great way to go home on that segment.
Yep.
A segment I did not think was a good go home segment was one of the matches I'm really not looking forward to on Sunday, and I don't even know if it's a match at this point. I'm trying to find it on the cards online, and I can't tell if it's a match or if it's just going to be a segment on Sunday. Lashley and Elias are having a feud. This week we had some local guy named Ricky Roberts, who is apparently an Elias fan, and
Ricky Bobby
dressed up like a exactly. You got that? Yeah, the couple of good fun name things this week here, and then down in Lucha Underground I got another fun.
You're not on fire, Ricky Bobby.
Oh, stop. But so Ricky Roberts tried to betray Bobby Lashley by hitting him with a guitar. That didn't go well for him. He took a vertical suplex. Yeah, I don't like this feud. I think it's a terrible thing for Lashley. I think it's just, Elias has so much else going on. This is really not, it's not doing anything for him either. It's just kind of a thing. But it's not, I don't know. They're not using Lashley the way that they should, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He should be some kind of assassin. It's just not.
An assassin, a monster.
Sure. But I just, get him off the mic. No. Okay, so we have to talk about the Raw Tag Team Championships because things are getting very interesting headed into SummerSlam. That we had a championship match where the B team had a triple threat match facing off against the Revival and the Deleters of Worlds.
Yes.
And I was like, why are they doing this on TV on the Go Home show right before SummerSlam? Why not just save this till SummerSlam?
Well, there's a couple of interesting speculations going on online. So we do know after this match, which the B team did pull out by a sneaky blind tag that the Revival didn't see, and they picked up the win after the Revival hit. I think it was Bray Wyatt actually with a shadow. By the way, props to the Revival for pulling out the Hart Foundation's signature move in this match, the Heart Attack. Yeah, it was beautiful, and it was nice. It was a nice tribute. But the thing is, so at the end of this, Bray gets pinned. We now know that there's going to be another tag team championship match on Sunday in the pre-show between the Revival and the B team, because the B team basically snuck the victory over the Revival.
Right.
But there's being speculation going on right now that Matt Hardy may be retiring, or at least going away for a long time. He's changed his Twitter name back to just Matt Hardy. He has started saying goodbye to people on Twitter, including Bray Wyatt. So this may be the end of the road for Matt Hardy, and we may be seeing this as a way to put over these other guys. So that might have been the match where we kind of saw the end of the Deleters of Worlds. And that could just be speculation. It could be Matt Hardy trolling us all online.
Which he's known to do.
Which he's known to do.
Yep.
But at the same time,
it is Matt Hardy after all.
His back is jacked. His hip is jacked. He's got to go get surgery. You could tell in this match he can barely move.
Yeah.
He's stiff. He doesn't look like he's in a little bit of pain. So, yeah, this could be a way of working them out of the tag division.
Hey, I ain't mad at the B team and the Revival. I'm for the championships at SummerSlam. Are you kidding me? It's about friggin' time.
I hope they give them enough time to put on a decent match.
Sure.
And because I personally think both these teams can put on, we know the Revival can put on a damn good match. We know that individually, the two guys on the B team can put on a good match.
Yes.
Especially Bo Dallas.
Sure.
But, I really hope they can put together a surprisingly good match on Sunday to surprise people and engage them again in a tag division that, frankly, has been really faltering lately. And to speak to that, we can go over and look at another match that happened this Monday, which was Bobby Roode and Titus Worldwide versus Mojo Rawley and AOP, where Bobby Roode just, boom, he put the DDT on Mojo Rawley, and 1, 2, 3, it was done. It was just kind of nothing. It didn't further anybody. It was just a time kill. And none of these guys are on the show on Sunday, which is sad for everybody involved. And speaking of the tag division, it looks like they're trying to build a women's tag division with Ruby Riott and the Riott Squad once again facing off against Sasha Banks and Bayley. This week it was Ruby versus Sasha. There was a little bit of some stuff. Sasha trying to get back in the ring. Ruby snuck out a victory.
Yeah. Good to see her back.
But this just keeps going back and forth between these guys. There's nothing else going on. At this point, it's such an overexposed angle and program. There's just not really any excitement behind it. We can't really tell if Sasha and Bayley are still friends or if they're still having issues or what's going on at this point. I've been really disappointed with what they've been doing with that so far.
Do you think I understand that the kind of the embryonic stages of a women's tag division are kind of starting to take shape, but do you think there's going to be an effort going forward to have, not pairing of individual singles competitors into a tag team, but we're going to have some organic female tag teams come up through the Performance Center, and that's going to be something that takes time, but we're going to start to see that?
The only organic one they have right now is the Iconics, and then arguably you've got, I would say that Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were initially single stars that just got put into a tag team when they came up to the main roster.
Yeah.
The Riott Squad was the same way, but they have been sold as a tag team since they came to the main roster as well. So just like with Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, right now we can call them a organic tag team because they have been since
But
they came to the main
you know
roster.
what I mean, though. You
I
see
do,
what I'm asking.
I do, but I think what I'm saying is that's all you're going to get. There are no other women's tag teams, and they're going to have to take singles competitors and put them together to make tag teams. And some of them, it's going to be a bit of, milk and toothpaste at first.
God.
So where you're kind of like this, what are you guys thinking with this? And some are going to pan out and become the female version of the Bar, and some are not. Some are going to be the Deleters of Worlds, where you kind of go, what the actual hell is going on? This sounds like this could be a good idea, but maybe not.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's all of our coverage for Monday Night Raw, but we're not done. Before we do our SummerSlam picks, we've got to head over and talk about what went down on Smackdown Live.
Well. Let's start off talking about the championship picture here on SmackDown Live, because we went home this week. The last thing we saw was a confrontation between the champion AJ Styles and the challenger Samoa Joe. And there was some nice build to this little confrontation in the rest of the show, with Paige going to each of the guys and saying, look, I don't want to spoil my main event on Sunday. Could you guys just not fight? Like, just don't mess with each other. Like, you guys are kind of getting heated, and I don't want this to happen. Typical stuff.
Right.
We were all going, cool, this is going to mean a fight. Only there wasn't a fight. It was AJ coming out and saying that he had promised his wife to stay cool, and Samoa Joe coming out and saying, well, that's great and all, but you're really a bad husband and you're a bad father, and the WWE Universe thinks so as well. And in fact, I have a letter here from someone in the WWE Universe who thinks that and says that you are a pro wrestler because you want to get away from your family and your wife. Oh, and by the way, this letter is written by your wife,
Wendy Styles.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Dun, dun,
Fade
dun.
out.
Which,
I thought it was an awesome way to end the show, if I'm being completely honest.
here's the thing. I thought that AJ's reaction did not sell it well enough. AJ should have just been incensed and charged
he
Samoa Joe.
Shoved it off and flipped it off, right?
Well, and we went to black, kind of just like,
Yeah.
to me, it was kind of like a fart in the wind. It didn't work. But online on WWE.com, they put up a clip of stuff that happened afterwards, and it was AJ being held back by the club and a bunch of other guys backstage while Samoa Joe taunted him about how his wife didn't even love him back. That was good stuff. I'm like, that's what I wanted to see at the end of SmackDown. We should have put this segment earlier in SmackDown and then had that segment to close the show. It was something where I thought in my opinion, they kind of muffed the go-home feel for that main event angle.
Yep.
I wanted to leave that feeling like they were ready to absolutely murder each other, and I didn't feel that. I went home.
It's more eye roll than intensity,
It's more kind of that was something.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a little flat, is basically what I'm saying. And it's a feud that I'm really excited about. And I think the match is going to be one of the ones that has the potential of stealing the show. Still, even with that kind of a flat finish to the build, I hope they do a good video package that helps build it more for Sunday, because they do have the material there.
Yeah.
This is just a bad way to end SmackDown, in my opinion.
Next up, we had Becky in a tag match
With Charlotte. Yes.
So,
against the aforementioned Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose.
Right. More foreshadowing into that tag team kind of thing.
Exactly.
But Becky kind of went absolutely apeshit in this.
She went ham.
Yeah, she did.
She went ham, absolutely. Hard as a mother.
Gives me pause for the match.
Well, this was interesting because
about it.
So she's obviously, this all began with her and Charlotte and Carmella confronting each other in the ring and talking about Sunday, and Carmella trying to divide them, and Becky and Charlotte saying, yeah, it's not going to work. We're buddies. We kind of know where we stand on this. Neither of us are really happy to be in this situation. Becky's especially not happy to be in this situation, because she worked so hard to get this opportunity, and now Charlotte's stepping on her toes again. But they're still on the same page.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Let's prove we're on the same page. Great. We have a tag match. See, we're on the same page. Except at the end of the match, Becky did not go to Charlotte to have her finish off Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Becky handled it all on her own, which I thought was good for a number of reasons. First of all, it showed that Becky can go, and the current Becky Lynch is one that can handle herself.
This is the Becky Lynch I've always wanted to see.
You need to make Becky look that good, because if there's going to be some sort of issue with her and Charlotte, she's got to look like she possibly could go toe-to-toe with Charlotte, who they have built, even on this show, with Carmella saying, nobody beats Charlotte. Charlotte is she's beat Asuka. She beat Asuka's streak. She's beaten everybody else. She was the first Hell in a Cell winner, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. You got to make Becky look good so that if she goes toe-to-toe with Charlotte, it's not unrealistic.
Yep.
And this was a good way of doing that. It also showed that there is still a little bit of maybe tension between her and Charlotte, because afterwards they were backstage and Charlotte goes, you didn't have to go that alone. I'm there for you. And Becky goes, no.
She tried to tea time her, and she slapped it away or something.
Well, she tea timed her, but it was really quick, and then she just took off, and Charlotte was kind of sitting there going, things to think about. I love this. I thought they did a great job with this whole angle. I'm excited for Sunday. I'm excited to see where they go with this. I love the dynamics here. Everything's
entire show with I broke it into 3 segments.
Three segments,
parts.
past, middle, and far past 8 years ago. And then the whole talking smack thing, and then now. Yeah. I loved this. This was great. A 3-part. When's the last time you saw this? When there was a feud that had so much history or so much stuff that they could draw from, and they could put together a video package that, by the way, killed it the way this video package does. It's hard to describe because you really do have to see all the elements they brought into this. I recommend everyone go and watch this on YouTube because it is all up there as a 1-part thing, as all put together. And it's really, really good. It goes all the way back to NXT, where Daniel Bryan was a rookie in NXT and Miz was his sponsor, his pro, and all the way up through the Talking Smack segment to Daniel Bryan coming back and their current feud now. And it's great. And it built this match without anything else having to be done because they've got so much history.
Yes. The intensity that they had at the end of the videos in part 3 where they just turned into the camera and looked and talked to the other
whole
one.
Reality show thing. Yep.
Oh, fantastic.
Sold.
This is a feud we've been wanting for a really long time, and by God, we're finally going to get it. Let's see. Tag team division stuff. Sanity faced off against the New Day. This match, in my opinion, was better than I expected it to be. These two teams really performed, and New Day ends up coming out with the win headed into their match for the championships with the Bludgeon Brothers on Sunday.
They did. I was really glad they made Sanity look as strong as they did because, they had to. The Sanity had to lose here, but it's good that they didn't make them look like complete goons. Although Killian Dane, that singlet.
Oh, well, yeah.
His new singlet. Apparently, it was his choice. He designed it himself, and it was his idea to wear a wrestling singlet instead of his old kind of black tights and whatnot that he had before. Here's the thing. The old black boy shorts there, or whatever it was, the belt thing and everything else going on, his whole outfit made him look scarier. The singlet doesn't make him look bigger or scarier.
Wait, are we doing body image again?
No, this is fashion.
Oh,
this is fashion now.
Right.
Not a fan.
I wonder if he and Cassius Ohno have the same stylist.
Cassius Ohno is a whole different kettle of fish. That's a whole different problem right there.
Speaking of Killian Dane, spot of the match, in my opinion, was Big E just pressing Killian Dane up onto his shoulder like it was no big deal.
Well, there's a reason he's called Big E. It's because the man's he's a walking mound of muscles.
That dude is strong.
Yes.
Yep. Heading over to next thing, the one that I was really looking forward to was something I'm invested in at this point, because I wasn't really in the beginning, was how all of this with Rusev, Lana, and Aiden English is ultimately going to shake out.
Yeah.
Because I can't see a path yet. I don't know where they're steering me, if they're going to somehow do something with Aiden on his own, or if it's Aiden just constantly seeking redemption for his folly. I don't know what they're really steering towards here.
It seems like it's coming to a head, though. We had Aiden start off by standing in the ring, looking very somber, and singing. Singing that he was sorry for what he'd done to Rusev Day, and he was basically going to get it back by facing off against Andrade Cien Almas and beating him. He didn't beat him. He got his ass whooped by Andrade, but looked good doing it. It was I would actually have liked to see this match go a lot longer because everyone looked good in it. Aiden can actually wrestle, and so can Andrade.
You know how Shinsuke Nakamura, sidebar. Okay. Shinsuke Nakamura calls, or he was saying knee to face for his Kinshasa. I think I'm going to call Andrade Cien Almas's double knees in the corner P to face.
Okay.
Because it looks very awkward.
Good luck with that, buddy. Anyone who wants to jump on that Nick train, feel free. But getting back to the actual match, so Aiden did go down, but after the match, Rusev and Lana came out and stared down Cien Almas and Zelina Vega in the ring. We are having a mixed tag match on Sunday between the two pairs, which I think could also steal the pre-show. I'm hoping
Yeah.
because that's going to be kind of the culmination of a lot of stuff going on with Rusev Day. And there's actually a listener question later on we'll talk about with this as far as what's going to happen next with Aiden and with Rusev Day. The real question is it too late for Rusev Day? And we're now getting Rusev Day being presented as faces, but coming out to a bit of lukewarm reaction, which they wouldn't have 2 or 3 months ago when they were hot as hell.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they just waited too long to pull the trigger here.
Probably. In my opinion, I think introducing Lana back into the mix was one of the things that derailed the whole thing in the first place.
And in addition, I don't think Andrade is enough of a commodity on the main roster yet to really put some like Rusev against him and have it be a lot of fire for that face-off. You know, people don't have the connection yet to Andrade on the main roster to be able to cheer. Like, they're still kind of figuring out who he is, so they can't cheer Rusev against him. Plus, they're trying to figure out if Rusev's a heel or a face because we haven't really established that over the last few months.
I think Zelina is doing a really good job of establishing, the heel persona of both of them.
Sure.
She's nailing that. And
Absolutely.
I think it's just a matter of time to get us past that part, or at least the WWE universe past that part. But I'm concerned with the wishy-washiness of not really giving us any direction of what to go. Like I was saying before.
I think they have an opportunity at SummerSlam, though,
Sure.
as you said before, to really define what's going on here with Aiden, with Rusev Day, and then also help us define Andrade Cien Almas and Zelina Vega to the crowd.
Yeah. Next up, Jeff Hardy is back. That dude just won't go get fixed.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, he just keeps going. And I'm, with talking about Matt earlier over on Raw, it's one of those things where, like, is he carrying the family now? Is it one of those things where he's going to have to pay all these medical bills?
I keep hearing he's injured and that he still keeps coming out and swanton bombing people. And like,
Spending
what is
4 hours doing face paint?
I guess he kind of took it easy for a couple of weeks, but still, man, like. Here he's back again, facing off against Shelton Benjamin, which last time we saw it, I thought was kind of a dream match. I'm like, these guys had never faced each other, or they haven't faced each other for like 15 years.
2004?
Something like that, a long time. But so this was, it was fun. Another good match, which Jeff Hardy, of course, wins. Afterwards, Nakamura comes out, tries to interfere, but ends up getting beaten down by Jeff Hardy at the end of it.
Yep.
And meanwhile, good old Randy Orton is creeping in the back.
Looks on from behind the whatever you call the.
Hopefully not with his hand down his pants, because that's what he's.
Come on.
I mean, it's what he's known for. I'm just saying. So we'll see what happens with that on Sunday. The Bludgeon Brothers also crushed some local talents. It was a 3-on-2 match. Got nothing really to talk about here. Just the Bludgeons doing bludgeony things. So.
Yeah. Bludgeon Brothers.
Bludgeon Brothers. They're facing off against New Day this Sunday, which leads me to our next segment, which is where we do our pick'ems for SummerSlam.
Yes.
So let's run down the old matches here and make our calls for who is going to win this coming Sunday at SummerSlam.
I'm going to let you say the first one first because you said you weren't going to say this ever again, and you've now done it every week since.
It's some sort of like weird penance thing where doing it just it's kind of like self-flagellation. I'm hurting myself every time I say it. The Boss and Hug. By the way, that's a N with apostrophes now. There's a Boss Hug Connection versus the Riot Squad. That'll be on the pre-show. Who do you have here?
I want to know which members of the Riot Squad are going to be wrestling. That's really because I don't know how to call this. I think if they need to continue, if they're changing their angle on Sasha and Bayley to put them into a friendly tag team and not go down having them against each other, I think they've got to pick up the win here. So I'm gonna pick Sasha and Bayley.
Okay, so you're taking the Boss Hug Connection.
I'm not saying that.
I know you're not. I'm gonna do it for us from now on, I guess, because
no, you're the one that said you never wanted to say it again.
I don't, but it's kind of like me saying Cesaro back in the day, where just at a certain point, it just happens. The pain of being dead. I'm actually going to agree with you here. I'm going to agree with you in the Boss and Hug Connection, because I think that while we haven't seen a lot of it on, for instance, the Hulu edition of the show, it has been on Raw, but it hasn't really been featured.
Yeah.
And I think that especially after losing this last week, they need to pick up a big win here and kind of get back in people's faces. Even though it's on the pre-show, though, I'm kind of now reconsidering that. I don't know. Why are we spending time talking about this? Let's move on and talk about Rusev Day versus Zelina Vega and Andrade Cien Almas.
I really hope that they don't leverage Rusev Day and their turmoil that's happening within the faction to try and get Almas a little bit more over by having him beat Rusev.
Mm-hmm.
I got to pick Rusev Day.
Okay.
Because it's just that's what makes sense. I could certainly make the argument that Zelina and Almas could win this here at the expense of Rusev Day in an effort to push them a little bit higher and give them a little bit more relevance. But it's pre-show. Who knows? I'm picking Rusev Day because Aiden,
Sure. I'm actually going to go opposite like that.
Okay.
I'm going to just honestly partly to be contrary.
Okay,
and
sure.
just pick something else. I'm just qualifying it by saying that. The Raw Tag Team titles, B Team versus the Revival. Do you think that the B Team will lose their championships to the Revival here?
I do, actually. I think they're finally going to put the belts on the Revival. And we're going to, this is what I hoped would happen if you could even go as far back as WrestleMania or, Money in the Bank when we've just been shitting all over the Raw Tag Team division for months on end now. And I think this might be one of the first real matches, legit matches with two tag teams, belts involved, where we are kickstarting a new path, a new adventure into Raw Tag Team. That's my hope.
I really have to go with you on that. I hope so too.
And I think the Revival's a perfect team to kind of set that off.
Yes,
so that's why I'm picking them.
If they continue to book them strong and make them look like actual, winners as opposed to just jabronis getting in there like the B Team, frankly, who keep winning almost by chance instead of actual by skill.
But I love that they're steering into that, though, with the B Team.
They are, but I think to legitimize the tag team division, they've got to get some other guys up there, or they've just got to finally pull the trigger on AOP. And just, whenever they take the belts off Bludgeon Brothers, AOP needs to step in as being the monster tag heels who are the champions. Speaking of championships, the Cruiserweight Championship, Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight Championship. Is it Gulak's time?
Coin toss, and that's the ultimate question right there, is whether or not it's Gulak's time. I don't think Cedric has had I'm going to do air quotes, good championship reign.
Really?
Cedric, I love you, man. Charlotte forever. But at the same time, Drew is absolutely on fire, and he has been on fire for months now, and it's just been an opportunity waiting in the wings. I think they're going to pull the trigger and get Gulak the title because I think basically you're setting up another 3 months of TV and pay-per-views right there. So
absolutely.
Gulak is my pick for this one. Sorry,
Gulak
Cedric.
is also
love
my
you,
pick.
brother.
He's got the numbers. He's got Gallagher and Kendrick working for him. I think there's going to be some sort of thing where they take the belt off of Cedric by some sort of screw job.
Okay.
Which keeps him looking like a lovable baby face who wouldn't have lost otherwise, kind of thing. Gulak should have the title. He's going to be a way more exciting guy with the title. Lots more stuff to do with him, as you said.
Yeah, can you imagine him and Buddy Murphy having a program on TV and just leading to some big match? I mean, that's crazy.
I think you're like that just because of the wrestler, but Buddy's still a nice, big, fat heel. So
Of course.
the main show. We don't know if this is actually going to be a match, but let's call it just in case it is. Bobby Lashley versus Elias. Who do you think would win if those two tussle on Sunday?
Is C don't care an answer?
No, you have to pick.
Oh, I have to.
Sorry, buddy.
Elias.
What? Whoa. Okay. All right. Taking the Elias. If this happens, I'm going all the way Lashley. I think it would be foolish to have Lashley lose to someone like Elias. If you pull that trigger, just kill him. Kill him.
I just did a virtual coin toss and it landed on Elias.
Ouch. Finn Balor versus Baron Corbin, who's picking up. Right, this is gonna be the rubber match. The rubber match between these guys. Finn won the first one. Corbin the second. Who's winning this one?
Constable Baron Corbin is much more interesting right now, and I don't know if him losing would make it more interesting with just winding him up even more that Finn got over on him. But I'm picking Baron Corbin here.
Yeah, I don't think that's an unsafe bet because it really comes down to who WWE is warmer on at the moment, and I can't really tell. He can still get away with this great Constable Corbin character and his horrible smirking and everything else that he does. Even with losing here, I think he's fine with a loss. Whereas I think if Finn loses this one, it's really going to damage him.
Yep.
So I'm actually going to go Finn just because I think he needs it more. And I think they would be foolish to have Corbin pull this out.
I was waiting for you to finish because I wanted to jump in. And I'm going to change mine to Finn, and here's why.
Oh.
Because I didn't think about this because
you're already locked in.
It requires picks further down the line to happen the right way. So I've got to stay streamlined here. Oh. I think we're going to step into a new authority angle with later in the year. And I think that's going to happen with some other things that are going on. And I think Corbin needs to lose to just embroil that a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Finn here.
You're booking the whole thing in advance, are you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about this all week, guys.
Jeez. All right.
Crazy fantasy
That's
bookings.
the problem. Never overthink these things, man.
Oh, yeah.
SmackDown Live Tag Championships, New Day versus the Bludgeon Brothers. Do you think the Bludgeons are finally going to lose a step here?
Has anybody been excited about the Bludgeon Brothers other than Vince McMahon?
I mean, they're fun, I guess. They're just it's a dumb 1990s gimmick. Like 1980s, 1990 gimmick.
And don't get me wrong, I love Harper and Rowan.
I love them.
They're fantastic, but I don't care enough. I am madly in love with the New Day. I think they're amazing, and they continue to reinvent themselves over and over again
while staying the same.
Yes, and that's the amazing part of it.
Agreed.
I think it's time that they drop them, even if it leads to a back and forth. I think the New Day picks up the win here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to pick the New Day.
I'm going to go Bludgeons. I don't think they're done dominating, unfortunately. I don't know who's going to dethrone them, if not New Day now. But
that's my whole point. Like, if they beat New Day, who's left?
Yeah, I mean,
they've beaten the Usos already.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sad that the Bludgeons kind of got the spot. Like I said, I thought AOP should have, but I think there's a lot of reasons why that happened the way that it did, and I understand why the Bludgeons are getting this treatment because they have more tenure with the company.
Sure.
And it's Vince's pet project and whatnot, and AOP unfortunately is not. And those guys also yell a lot in foreign languages, which we know does not go over well
right.
with the chairman of the board.
We've learned that before.
We have Braun Strowman versus Kevin Owens for the Money in the Bank briefcase. All right, buddy, pet your big stuffed Braun Strowman on top of your mic there and make a decision.
Braun's gonna lose.
Braun's gonna
lose.
Betting against your boy.
Sorry, my brother.
Because
this gets really interesting with and this is what I wanted to save to talk about this part. So I almost want to call several things here or not get into this yet. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna save it and we can talk about it at the end.
Okay.
Kevin Owens wins here and gets the Money in the Bank briefcase. Money in the Bank briefcase. Talk, Nick.
Okay.
Thank you.
I actually think that Kevin Owens will win here as well, but I'm gonna take Braun Strowman here.
What? Just to rub it in my face?
Just to rub it in your face. If he wins, I'm going to come back laughing next week. Oh, yeah. He'll be like, you bet against your boy, Nick. You bet against your boy. And look what happened.
Yep.
So that's why I'm picking Braun. Literally the only reason I'm picking Braun Strowman.
The only reason I'm picking Braun is because I think there's a bigger play here with KO that's going to happen real quick.
I tend to agree. I actually really agree with that. And this is a point I'm willing to lose just to be able to rub it in your face. The U.S. Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy. Who do you have?
Shinsuke's retaining.
I could not agree more.
I don't know what else to say about it.
Yep, I agree. I think Nakamura is holding on to it with interference from Randy Orton of some sort.
That's going to be the interesting part for me, is not these two wrestling each other in a clean match, is where does Randy Orton show up and which side does he pick?
And it's kind of sad that once again Shinsuke is the fifth wheel in a feud. He's kind of just there. The feud is really between Jeff and Randy. And I thought Randy erased Jeff or whatever it was, you know.
He erased his identity.
He erased his identity.
And then he painted his face again and he was back.
And he was back. Now he's Jeff again. Whatever. The bottom line is Shinsuke really is kind of irrelevant to this whole thing. He's just there.
No, he's the champion.
That's the sad thing.
Right.
It's the sad thing. And, I mean, I almost wonder if, if they need to define something between Shinsuke and Randy. They need to define what the relationship is.
I think that's what's going to happen immediately after Shinsuke wins the match, is Randy's going to come out and we start a feud, Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura feud.
Up until now, it's just been kind of like nodding at each other. Tell me what their relationship is. If Shinsuke is just happy to let Randy do his thing, or if they've talked. I need to know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Shinsuke just feels like extraneous to what's going on between Jeff and Randy, and there's no real belt involved. Speaking of belts, the Intercontinental Championship, Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins. Here we go. What happens in this match? Remember, in the corners, we've got Drew McIntyre and the returning Dean Ambrose.
Returning cleared for in-ring action as well, Dean Ambrose. So, there's a bunch of different ways this could go. What I want to happen is a Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre program. I don't know how we get there.
What?
I want to see Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre have a fight. I don't.
Right.
I think Dolph is kind of the interesting outlier in this, even though he's been the focus of it for a few weeks, if not a month or so now. I'm interested in that. What is very interesting, though, and what has been really talked about all week is the possibility of Dean somehow helping Seth get the belt back, and then Dean turning, a la Seth turning on the Shield.
Sure.
Dean turns on Seth,
right,
and we get a Seth versus Dean for the Intercontinental title feud. That's what I think could happen, but I don't think it's very probable yet.
No, and because then what happens with Ziggler and McIntyre? Who do they go off and feud
Maybe they
with?
Split up and go off on their own ways, and that's how you get it. But it's sloppy doing it that way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just I personally think that it is more elegant to have Dean help Seth win the belt and have this be one of the few times where a face wins on SummerSlam, which they rarely do. And then going forward, have more. I'm more seeing a McIntyre an Ambrose feud, to be honest with you. I think you can get really physical with that.
Sure. I just wanted to see Seth fight his one of his final forms.
You were kind of down on Ziggler there. I personally thought he had a great, by the way, he had a great segment this week with all this going on. He really had a really awesome promo.
Yeah.
And it fired me up for Ziggler again. It actually made me back on Ziggler's side. So I've got to go. Did you actually say who you thought was going to win here?
I think Seth Rollins is going to get the title back, yes.
Okay, you think Seth?
Yes.
I actually think Ziggler's going to retain.
Okay.
I think Ziggler's going to retain, and partly because I think, I just said earlier that I think Seth's going to take it, but I'm just going to be contrary. I'm going to say Ziggler. I think, I'll take the possibility of a Dean Ambrose heel turn because you're taking Seth.
Right. So
I'll go with that.
I'm picking for both of us all the way down this card. Gotcha.
Pretty much, and I'm just taking the contrary side, which is why I'm going to lose this one. I lose the big ones. That's what I do.
I show up when it counts.
I lose all the B shows. You win all the A shows.
All those.
All right, Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. Who do you have here?
And we've been waiting for this match for a long time. I'm really excited to see how this goes. I hope they get enough time. By God, we've got a 2-hour pre-show and a 6-hour main show. They better give these two guys time. At the end of the day, I don't know that this has gravity other than settling a beef. I think The Miz gets more out of this with a victory than Daniel Bryan does. I don't think Daniel Bryan needs the victory as much, especially over on SmackDown. So I picked The Miz only on that. I hope it leads to more. I don't know how they can continue to churn this. I hope this isn't a complete blow-off of the 8-year feud. That's how they're building it to be on commentary and the advertisement. It all ends here.
Yeah.
You're getting that
Never heard that
of,
before.
Right. So I'm picking Miz. I want to see this be a really good match between these two guys because we've been waiting on this one for a long time.
Yeah, I'm also going to pick Miz, but I'm going to do it because Daniel Bryan's contract is up the 1st of September or right around there. And if he doesn't re-sign, they're going to go out with Miz getting all of his mojo. And if he does re-sign, he'll have the ability to continue this feud and get one over on Miz.
Yep.
So I absolutely see the possibility of this continuing. I don't think Daniel Bryan's going to pull this one out either. Plus, I think it'll be interesting to have Miz get one more win and one more way to just twist the knife in Daniel Bryan. I don't think he's going to do it clean.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to pull it out.
Miz never does anything clean.
Of course. I'm letting that softball pitch go.
All right, SmackDown Live Women's Championship.
Yes. Oh, looky here. We got the triple threat: Carmella versus Becky Lynch versus Charlotte.
If they don't complete the anointment of Becky Lynch here after the last 2 months, I'll be severely disappointed. I think she gets the title back and we start something else that's interesting. Carmella is fun. She can be a fly buzzing around and getting on everybody's nerves. I want a legit champion back with that belt around them, and it's going to be Charlotte or Becky, and I think Becky's earned it at this point, and I think the crowd is going to go absolutely apeshit when she does.
I think it would be a big fan moment if Becky picks it up. I think if Charlotte picks it up, you have a lot of stuff a lot of interesting story you could play with, with her once again kind of grinding Becky down. And I from what I've heard, Carmella does have some backstage heat right now.
Really?
Yeah.
I've heard she's nothing but a sweetheart.
Even Jim Ross has said that he thinks she's going into business for herself, but I don't know.
Okay.
I could see it going any one of the three ways. Including Becky turning heel, which is being speculated now online. But personally, I think Carmella might retain here, and that this just becomes something like this. There's more to do here between Becky and Charlotte before the championship gets involved between them.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they're going to build the tension between them more before one of them gets the belt, and then it's for the belt.
Yep.
So I think Carmella does retain here.
Well, let's go over and talk about the Red Brand's version of this, the Raw Women's Championship, with Ronda Rousey facing off against Alexa Bliss.
Is it time? Is it time for Ronda Rousey to be anointed?
I don't. What did we say before? I've used this line before on a show. I don't think Alexa Bliss wins, but she retains. This is the first time these two are getting hands on each other, essentially.
Right.
There's no way they're going to swap the belt yet, but I don't think it's a clean Alexa Bliss victory over Rowdy Ronda Rousey. I think it winds Rousey up even more.
It's a kerfuffle match.
Yes. It's an absolute one, but I'm going to say not wins, but Bliss retains.
Okay. This is what we did last time, too,
right,
by the way.
Right.
It's just somehow
I don't know what's
going to
happen, but they're not taking that. They're not putting that title on Ronda Rousey.
Right,
yet.
whether Ronda wins by DQ and Alexa keeps the belt.
She's 6 months in, guys. It's not, come on. Yes, they're paying her, $1 million a year, but it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, not yet. Almost.
I agree. I think no matter what, Alexa's coming out of SummerSlam with the belt because, man, if they pull the trigger and give Ronda the belt now, that really does kind of crap on a lot of the other women who have worked so hard and been there so long trying to get that little piece of metal and leather, fake leather, whatever it's made out of. I can't see them putting it on Ronda this soon. No. I really can't. I hope they don't.
But I hope it's shenanigans enough that go on, cheating Rousey in her chicken shit heel kind of way, Alexa's chicken shit heel kind of way, enough to just get me more invested in this feud. Because it's only been going on for a few weeks now, right? Coming out of the Nia angle recently. So I think that this is going to be interesting. With this match and how it ends.
But yeah, they're gonna have to book the crap out of this match.
Oh yeah,
to get out of this.
Oh yeah.
The WWE Championship, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe. I think we're both on the same page with this one.
What do you think,
Joe?
I think it's time.
Yep.
I don't think they're gonna give AJ Styles a Brock Lesnar-esque title reign. Even though he deserves it more than Lesnar.
He's actually had the longest SmackDown reign of any champion in history.
I believe that. And he, well earned and rightfully so. And we love AJ Styles here.
And yet we bet against him every
podcast.
time. I can go back and look at our picks. I think we bet against him every time. Like we were always calling Shinsuke. We do bet against him all the time.
That just turns the knife a little bit even more. Like, no, AJ, I'm sorry.
Oh man. Yeah, I think Joe needs to pick it up here though, because Joe keeps having feuds where he talks big and doesn't win.
Yes.
Joe needs a win, and AJ can afford to lose that belt now.
Yep.
He really can. He's shown he's a fighting champion. He's shown he's a guy that can hold the belt for a long time. Joe needs the belt. Joe needs to prove that he's not just words, and this is the way to do it. Have him murder AJ.
I would even do something crazy like make it really fast. Like have him go crazy and just absolutely devastate AJ Styles in a matter of like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
With whether he does it sneakily or something like that.
Whatever it is.
And it just
would become such a great redemption angle for AJ, especially considering how much Joe has wound him up already. You could do some great stuff with that. AJ's proven he's a great champ. He can absolutely withstand that. I agree. I think that would be a really smart idea. I don't think they'll do it, but it could be really cool if they did.
Yeah.
All right, it's time. It's time for Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, the Universal Championship match. Is it coronation time, or does something happen?
All right, I'm going to try and talk as fast as possible here because we're running really long. Reigns is going to win. Kevin Owens is going to cash in after beating Braun Strowman earlier in the night, and I think it becomes revealed that Kevin Owens is the new Paul Heyman guy. That's my theory.
I'll give you a plus 0.5 on that KO cash in. So if he does cash, if it's a Reigns win and a Kevin Owens cash in, you'll get 1.5 points for that one. How about that?
Okay, sure.
I will also take Reigns. I'm not going to do any kind of funky other stuff because as you said, we got to get going here.
Yep.
But I think it's Reigns' time. If Brock keeps it, they've lost their freaking minds.
In all honesty, I just want to be on record saying this. I hope Reigns gets it and keeps it clean.
Mm-hmm.
I think the guy has put up with enough shit over the last 3 years. This isn't sympathy like you were trying to describe a little bit earlier, but it's more of a, I agree. I think Dominic was the one that said it in our Facebook group. Forgive me if I got that wrong, Dominic, or whoever it was, but the dude's been through enough. He's been cashed in on twice already. last 3 years have been miserable with Lesnar. Let's give the dude some time with the belt.
Yeah.
He's been a trooper through
and
this
he's
thing.
had time with the belt, and it's been pretty much forgotten that he had.
Yep.
Everyone just completely forgot that he had the belt for a long time. And in that package with him and Brock, they just erased that whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's been all about him and Brock for the last 4 years. No, it's not. There was a whole time when Roman was champ.
Yeah.
He
had the U.S. title in there for a while.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is our coverage of WWE, at least as far as the main roster, which means we need to move over and start talking about the wide world of wrestling.
All right, kicking things off with NXT. Lots of red herrings going on with who done it. It's a game of Clue over at the Performance Center.
No kidding.
Trying to figure out who killed Aleister Black.
Yeah, was it Ciampa in the trainer's room with the crutch, or was it
Lars Sullivan with the candlestick in the parking lot?
Exactly. We had, who all did they point out? We had Johnny Gargano. We had Undisputed Era driving away in a car. They did it for The Rock. Lars Sullivan was walking away. Cassius Ohno was nearby. Heavy Machinery were taking pictures of him. Kona Reeves was near the truck with a camera.
Velveteen Dream was around.
Velveteen Dream was looking depressed over in the corner for some reason. Ricochet was getting out of a car looking delirious. Wesley Blake and his new buddies were walking by. Shayna Baszler was there. Fabian Eichner, Cesar Bononi, and Marcel Barthel, who we got introduced to last week, were all hanging out. Of course, as we said, Ciampa.
Ivan Drago is who I call him.
Yeah, Ciampa was walking by with the belt looking absolutely insane. Even EC3 was there. Everybody was there.
So basically the entire NXT roster.
And the one-armed man.
Right.
It was everybody. So yeah, basically who did it to Aleister? Everybody. Everybody did it. Everybody was there. Anyway, so
do you have a theory real quick? 10 seconds.
I mean, no, of course I don't, because it's going to depend on who they want to put him with in 6 months or whenever he's back from whatever horrible thing happened to his crotch.
My guess is Lars Sullivan as a redemption for his air quotes broken jaw from their last match together.
Yeah, they made it look like, I think they'll just never tell us, and we can speculate based on how everyone was walking around in this, who it could have been.
Let's not forget Lars Sullivan has a history of beating up behind closed doors his old tag partners and just ransacking people out back. That was how he got his whole
So
image
this Undisputed
started,
Era, if you recall.
Exactly.
They attacked Oni Lorcan and Birch backstage. The bottom line is it doesn't help to speculate. It's funny how many red herrings they threw out to everybody there. Street Profits versus the Mighty. We had a match this week. It was a fun match. I'm not sure where the teams go from here. It was another one where the Street Profits used the tights to pull up on the Mighty for the win, and then celebrated in the crowd. A lot of fun, but it was just kind of there. It didn't really flip my wig.
Shout out to the cameraman that handed Montez Ford his cup and still shot it in a first-person angle.
That was hilarious.
Well done, sir. That was really, really...
Also well done, the match between Kairi Sane and Aaliyah. This was basically just Kairi beating the absolute crap out of Aaliyah. Shayna Baszler sitting at commentary. This was a side of Kairi that I loved. They at the end of the match, she hits Aaliyah with the elbow, stares down Shayna Baszler, goes up, gives her another elbow, and just to make sure that Aaliyah was dead, gets back up, gives her another elbow, and then goes for the pin, and on two, picks up Aaliyah's head, stares at Shayna Baszler and goes, nah, your little girl she's not going to go out like that. Puts her in a submission hold, and then makes her tap out while pointing at Shayna Baszler. Upside down. Awesome. You and I were watching this freaking out when this happened.
Yeah.
Because this was just fantastic. It made Kairi look like an absolute monster. And I think it did more to heat up this feud than anything that's happened so far.
Yeah,
it was a great way to put a little exclamation point on it.
And you also made a fun comment with the impending arrival of Io Shirai to the Performance Center. Now you've got her and Hojo kind of reuniting. This could be an interesting spicing it up if they turn these two kind of Japanese wrestling ladies on each other and just kind of turn them loose and take the leash off. That could get really interesting.
Yeah, you got a bunch of talent from Japan coming in for the Mae Young Classic. How long they stick around, we'll wait and see. As you said, Io Shirai is probably going to be around for a while. So if we could start to see some really nice stiff Stardom-style matches in NXT, I would not be mad. Talking about Velveteen Dream, he went out to the ring, started to cut a promo on EC3. He couldn't really cut the promo because the audience kept chanting his name, which now apparently he doesn't want them to do, even though before he wants everyone to say his name. Now he can't even cut a promo because everyone's saying his name.
Right.
Then EC3 comes out and absolutely burns him down on the mic. First thing he says when he comes out, is this what it sounds like when doves cry?
Oh, I marked the hell out when he said that.
Brilliant. I'm not big on EC3 as a wrestler, but by God, on the mic, that man is amazing. And this was a fun little thing between them in the ring, I thought.
A sick fanny pack too, by the way, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Oh, man. Okay, so wrapping it up, we had the Undisputed Era, or actually it should be Tyler Bate facing off against Roderick Strong of the Undisputed Era.
Great match, hard-hitting as hell.
Woo!
Nice, hot, super
If this is
energy.
a precursor to what we're going to see on Saturday at TakeOver, holy smokies.
So typically, I'm not a big fan of the booking where, each member of the tag team faces off, singles match with the guys from the tag teams. Fine. I'm not usually, I think it's lazy booking. This is one where I'm absolutely a fan of it because now I'm really excited to see these teams go at each other.
Yeah.
If this is what they can do with the singles, my God, the chaos when they're all together. And we've seen the two teams go against each other before. It's always amazing. The last one was insane with Trent getting his leg pulled off in the ring.
Yeah. That was nuts. Well, speaking of TakeOver, we have to do our pick'ems for NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4. I did all of them first on SummerSlam, so I'm going to ask you this time. Let's go down the picks for Brooklyn. We've got the North American Championship where Adam Cole is defending against our boy Ricochet.
I can't pick against. I can't pick against Ricochet.
It's got to be Ricochet.
I can't pick against Ricochet.
Adam Cole's had it for like 27 years.
He's had it for a long time.
Yeah.
I think it would be really good for Ricochet to get that belt. I don't think they brought Ricochet there just to sit in the wings.
No.
So,
and it's time. He's proven himself quite a bit since he's come.
Well, he hasn't really even done that much, but he's already super hyped. Everyone loves him. So, yeah, I think it's time for Adam to drop that and move on. I could see it running until Survivor Series, the feud between the two of them. I just don't think it needs to.
No.
I think it's time for Ricochet to get that championship.
He's going to make a great North American champion.
Velveteen Dream versus EC3. We saw them tussle at the end of that segment earlier. EC3 once again standing tall 2 weeks in a row. Who do you have here?
I thought I was going to ask you first.
Too late.
Velveteen Dream.
Velveteen Dream. Yep. I have to agree with you. I think after everything that's happened to him so far, he's never won a pay-per-view match that I can recall. In NXT, I think it's his time to win one.
Chat, correct us if he's wrong, but I think he's right. Next up, Mustache Mountain facing off against the Undisputed Era for the NXT Championships. Is this technically? This isn't the rubber match, is it? This is the rubber match.
It is the rubber match. Yeah, Undisputed Era lost in the UK, and then Mustache lost
back at the
Performance Center, and this is the rubber.
Oh man, both of those other matches were freaking amazing.
Absolutely,
this
amazing.
one is not going to be any less. Who you got here?
Undisputed Era.
I
think they absolutely
retain.
Yeah, I think they are. I don't think the UK boys are taking it. They're going to go over to the UK division and do stuff over there. I think Undisputed Era needs to be able to hold on to at least one belt. In this case, the belts. If Adam Cole loses, they're not also losing the tag belts. That's my theory. So I'm taking Undisputed. I
have a quick concern about Bobby Fish coming back and what that's going to do to that tag dynamic.
I've lost my hold on his timeline for coming back. I'm not sure when he's cleared.
Okay. The only reason I was bringing that up is because I don't know if any shenanigans will happen if they throw Roderick Strong out at some point, but they're just too good. They're just too good right now.
They're too good.
There's no way that Mustache Mountain is going to take those back to the UK at this point, so I think they're going to retain as well.
I agree.
Next up is the Women's Championship, which we are both really hyped for now after NXT this week. Shayna Baszler defending against with a new vigor. New viciousness, Kairi Sane. Who do you got here?
I think Shayna Baszler gets her redemption. Last time they faced off was the Mae Young Classic from last year. I think Shayna Baszler gets her redemption, continues to look strong. I don't see anyone on the horizon who's going to take that belt off of her unless they have plans for her on the main roster. If Shayna Baszler loses Saturday night, look for her to interfere in the Ronda Rousey match on Sunday.
That's interesting. Mm-hmm. I think Shayna's going to retain here as well, not before they have an amazing match, though. I think this is going to be a secret match. This one's going to a sleeper match. This one's going to sneak in and surprise a lot. Fight. We've had what was the other one? I can't remember. We've had the street fight. We had another one, and then we had a
straight up match.
Okay, and now we're going to have a last man standing.
It's too bad that this wasn't the triple threat. I hope they're not going to speed this angle up as a result. I've got Ciampa retaining here. I think that there's a lot more to do with this feud. I think this is going to run the rest of the year, possibly into next year. And because it's still amazing feud. It doesn't need to go anywhere just yet.
Agreed.
And I think Johnny needs to devolve and go even further into darkness before we get the redemption. So
I think this, if I was booking this match, I would make it look absolutely like Gargano was going to pick it up and then just at the last second flip it and have Ciampa retain. And I need Johnny to go that one extra step into darkness and just despair and lose his shit. He's one step.
Yeah.
From there.
And Ciampa is so good with the title in terms of just the power it gives him and how much he's able to just consistently rub it in all of our faces, really, that he's the champ. So I think it's a great thing to have it on him. The only way I see Johnny picking it up is if Johnny truly goes to the dark side here and does just the most horrific thing imaginable to Ciampa to keep him down.
Any possibility? I mean, is there any disqualification in a last man standing match? I feel like we had this discussion with AJ and Nakamura recently. Didn't they do the double DQ thing, and was that under the last man standing rules? I just can't remember all the details there, but anyway, there could be some shenanigans here. There could be some weapons.
Recently on WWE.com, they did actually say the difference between a whole bunch of these different, like street fight, no holds barred match, and no DQ match, and all that. They didn't say a last man standing what the stipulations were, so I actually don't have that in my notes. I can tell you the difference between hardcore, no DQ, no holds barred, and street fight. Can't tell you with last man standing if there's a DQ or if a rope break or anything like that. Off the top of my head, at least. But who do you have in this? Ciampa or Gargano?
Ciampa's retaining.
Ciampa, okay. There you go. Well, that is it for NXT. I'm looking forward to that takeover this weekend. It's going to be an amazing show, as they always are. Also, putting on some pretty good shows this week, 205 Live. Really quickly going to run through this one. Lio Rush did beat Akira Tozawa, beat him clean, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if that's their way of putting Lio over or if this is going to continue and Akira's going to get the wins back. But it was a really entertaining match. Leo looks fantastic, and I'm glad he's part of 205 Live.
Yeah, rocket ship on that guy.
Absolutely. Hideo Itami murdered Trent Newman. He even did the whole, exactly. But it was a way to make Itami look strong and vicious. He was pinning him and then pulled him up to beat him up some more, and then, that whole thing.
As you do when you're Hideo Itami.
As you do when you're Hideo Itami. And finally, we got the go-home match for SummerSlam. Cedric Alexander defeated Jack Gallagher in a fantastic match. But after the match, of course, got beat down by Kendrick and Gulak, which feeds into my theory of the fact that the numbers game is going to catch up to Cedric on Sunday. So yeah, I think that the numbers spell disaster for Cedric Alexander at Sacrifice. SummerSlam. Sorry, got lost there for a second. Next week, we're going to have a tornado tag match. Lucha House Party facing off against Buddy Murphy and Tony Nese. We also got another rematch, Noam Dar versus TJP. So once again, 205 Live putting on some great matches. More people need to watch it.
Yes.
Go watch that.
Well, let's head over. It's time to talk about the G1, and we don't have as much time. I'd love to talk about this for an hour. And,
we could talk. Yeah, we could absolutely talk about this for a whole show.
But let's talk finals that went down this weekend. Some quick results and any side commentary you might have, because we're running really long here today.
That's fine, man. New Japan. So the G1 results. A block. For strangely enough, Jay White ended up losing to Evil, which kept him out of the running for the finals, which means it was down to the winner of Okada versus Tanahashi. Okada had to win to pull away the block. Unfortunately, they tied, which meant Okada was just short of having enough points. Tanahashi pulls out the block. B block, Naito lost to Zack Sabre Jr. in a major upset. Zack Sabre having an amazing G1 if you look at his numbers. He had the same number of points as the winner of the block, but did not win the block because he lost the head-to-heads.
Yep.
Omega losing to the Golden Lover Ibushi, his Golden Lover, his boy, beat him, and it was a very, very emotional match. But our finalists were Tanahashi and Ibushi. That was an absolutely amazing match on the final day. Was Ibushi versus Tanahashi.
Did we get a Meltzer star score on it yet?
I haven't looked yet. No, he's busy calling out women for not being light enough.
Right.
But this was not what I called for the finals. I was really surprised that it was Ibushi Tanahashi. If you had asked me at the beginning of the G1 if Tanahashi was going to go all the way, I'd have told you no after the year he had where he's putting a lot of people over and seemed to be losing a lot.
Even going into the finals, I would have said no. We talked about this last week pretty in depth.
I think this was a way of Tanahashi kind of getting everybody back into him. Is one of the reasons why he is one of the greatest wrestlers of the last 20 years and arguably of all time, by the way. If you've never seen Tanahashi, we are in an era where one of the greatest guys who's ever wrestled pro wrestling in terms of star power, presentation, ability, skill level, he is one of the greatest. And this was a way of telling us all, I'm back. I'm coming back. This is why you loved me in the first place. I can still go. I can still operate at a high level against one of the most talented people in the world in Ibushi. And also, the way this match was written between the two of them was brilliant in the fact that Ibushi got really vicious at a certain point and very violent, and Tanahashi came back, gave him 3 high fly flows, 3 finishers to put him away. I mean, just a great way of having a guy who's considered a wrestling god look like an underdog for the second third of the match.
Yeah.
And then man up at the end in just the most heroic fashion to put away this young upstart.
Not double tap, triple tapped him from the top ropes. Just
it was so good. It was so good. And the history of Tanahashi is just makes this a more momentous moment. So Tanahashi guaranteed a title match next year at Wrestle Kingdom against whoever the champion is, whether it's Omega or whether whoever takes it off of Omega.
But Ibushi, not all is lost. He also has the win over Omega during the G1, so he also gets a title shot so long as Omega retains.
Omega fell apart at the end of the G1.
Yeah, he did.
Lost to Ishii, lost to Toru Yano, kind of. He lost to him. There was shenanigans, but it's Toru Yano. But he also lost to Ibushi, as you said. So going forward, right now, so in the finals, we had a tag match. At the end of it, Ishii did challenge Omega. They had one of the best matches in the G1.
Yep.
Ishii had all the best matches as far as
I think
concerned.
Ishii might be the one that kind of stole the G1. I had a blast watching all of his
people
matches.
You can make that argument for, but it was a really good one overall. But Ishii versus Kenny Omega looks to be the next championship match coming up, whether it's at Destruction or King of Pro Wrestling. I don't care. I'm excited.
Yep.
Those guys put on amazing matches. And if you give them 40 minutes to work, we're going to have an absolutely killer match. I don't think Ishii's going to win. But I think it's going to be an absolutely amazing match.
Well, let's talk about some key takeaways here for the G1 as a whole. 6 weeks of content and just, build and storyline and all of this kind of stuff. How do we bullet this out pretty quickly?
Let's see. Well, based on everything that came out at the end of the last show, Juice Robinson looks like he's on a collision path with Cody, Cody came in for the finals and beat Juice and kind of ran him down. So Juice accepted Cody's challenge afterwards, and another great promo back in the press conference room. So yeah, it looks like we're getting Juice and Cody coming up for the U.S. title. Mwah, I love that. Love it. The Tongans are your
we can't talk about the G1 without talking about Tama Tonga.
Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Bad Luck Fale are now your trios champions after calling out the Young Bucks and Marty Scurll, who were your previous trios champs, and humiliating them, getting them to agree to a title match on the night of the finals with Harold May, the owner, the CEO of New Japan, sitting ringside. Got them to agree to a title match. They won. They beat them, and then threw down the belts in a way to just insult
defiance,
insult New Japan, insult the Young Bucks. The Bullet Club Civil War continues, and the OGBC looks like they are continuing their bad boy ways. So that's a lot of fun. Let's see what else we got. We got Los Ingobernables and Suzuki Gun. Looks like they're back at war again.
Good.
I love watching all of those guys fight each other. Everybody's going to be coming for Hiroki Goto, his neverweight belt. He lost a lot in this G1. You got guys like Taichi who wants that belt. Elgin might get another shot at it. Zack Sabre Jr. could take a shot at Goto. He also lost to Naito. I mean, a lot of people could go for Goto for that belt. And yeah, we already talked about people coming for Omega. So we're on the road to destruction now. We got Hiroshima September 16th, Beppu on the 17th, and Kobe on the 23rd for the Destruction Tour. And then we're coming back for Fighting Spirit Unleashed here at Long Beach at the Walter Pyramid.
Nice.
On September 30th.
Holy smokes.
And then King of Pro Wrestling October 8th. So lots of stuff coming up in New Japan. Lots of matches got set up that could headline all of those. You know what I mean? I don't know if Omega and Ishii's going to headline here at the Pyramid. I really hope so. But whenever it happens, it's happening soon. So lots of good stuff happening in New Japan.
There's so much more I want to talk about with the G1 that happens.
I know.
I really want to get into the Tama Tonga whole storyline of him interfering with all of that, but we just don't have the time.
We could talk about, Jared pointed out, we could talk about Takahashi, like what the deal is with his belt and his broken neck. Like, here's the thing, though. He could be out for it's New Japan. He could be out for 9 months to a year without the junior heavyweight belt being defended, and they could get away with it. I mean, Jericho has the IC belt, and he's never there, and he's not going to be there for the rest, for a long time.
Probably won't come back to Wrestle Kingdom, honestly.
Probably.
Yeah, January.
So, yeah, they don't have to strip Takahashi.
No.
They have another belt on the shelf.
Yeah, great. Well, hey, let's head over and let's wrap things up here real quick with some Lucha Underground. Ian, break down what happened this week on our favorite fantasy wrestling show.
Real quick, Lucha Underground, just kind of touching on that. Once again, we had a member of the Rabbit Tribe get sacrificed to the gods. Matanza killed Saltador this week. Killshot had a match against Dragon Azteca for the Gift of the Gods, which he barely lost. But then as a result of that, he looks like he turned heel. He just wasn't operating well with the Mac and Son of Havoc. They're the Trios champs.
Right.
They lost the Trios championship belts to the Reptile Tribe, mostly thanks to Jeremiah Snake, as he's going by now.
Reincarnated.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But looks like Killshot's turning heel. We'll see what happens there. And then the big one was Cage and Pentagon got into a bit of a brawl. They're building up for their upcoming championship match. The thing to take away from that was not only did they kick the crap out of everyone around them, but there was a priest in the audience. Let's see, I believe his Father Rick O'Shea.
Okay. Is that a reference to something?
Maybe Ricochet?
I'm
just took you a second. Took you too long.
I got there.
So
Okay.
Father Rick O'Shea tried to give an exorcism to Pentagon Jr., or Pentagon Dark, excuse me, and Pentagon Dark did not take kindly to that and broke the kindly father's arm. Oh,
Son
man.
of a bitch!
Gotta love Lucha Underground.
Yes.
And then finally we found out the next week Mac will face Mil Muertes, the guy he's been scared of, the guy who he's been terrified of for all this time. And the last thing he said this week was trick or treat, mother. Went to commercial.
Oh, boy.
So that is Lucha Underground. Looking forward to seeing what goes down with the Mac versus Mil Muertes. A couple big boys going at it.
Brian Cage also confirmed for All In, by the way.
Yes, in the over-budget Battle Royale. That's what it's called. Don't look at me like that.
Yeah. Well, hey, a couple of listener questions we definitely wanted to get to. Guys, if you want to get in on this, it's as little as $5 per month. You get to interact with us and get a copy of the show notes for every single episode. Plus, you get to submit your listener questions, and we'll answer them here on the show like we're about to for our listeners this week.
Yeah, no, it's a great way to interact with the show. I love getting listener questions for just $5 a month. In addition, if you are watching us in the live stream, please throw a couple of questions up in the live chat, and we'll see if we can get to them if we have enough time. So let's first off of our Patreon listener questions. Bibash Shrestha, I'm so sorry about how I pronounced your last name. He says 3 people might turn heel at SummerSlam: Becky, Dean, and Aiden. Which one excites you the most, and which shouldn't happen this SummerSlam?
Dean excites me the most. Which one shouldn't happen at SummerSlam? I don't think Becky's going heel at all.
Really?
Charlotte's going to turn of any of those.
I think Charlotte should. Looking at this week, I think Becky might. Actually,
I think Dean. If I had to pick of those 3, if I had to book those 3, Dean would be the one. I don't think Aiden should happen at SummerSlam.
Well, okay. So my take on this: Aiden isn't a heel, or Aiden is a heel. He can't turn heel if he's already a heel. He's been the heel element of Rusev Day. I guess he could turn more heel. He could, side with,
spoil their match.
He could side, exactly.
Intentionally, yeah.
He could go, this is the thing with Rusev Day. They have a hard time defining what they are. You could really define them this weekend, by saying Rusev is absolutely face, Aiden is absolutely heel, but which one excites me the most? Dean.
Yep.
Absolutely Dean. Which one shouldn't happen? Becky, in my opinion. I'd be fine with Aiden going heel. I'd be fine with Dean going heel. If Becky goes heel, I think you spoil a lot of the Becky Balboa stuff that she has going on, the underdog aspect to her that you could really play off of, and it just takes it in a whole different direction, and you lose a lot of that good momentum she had with that particular angle.
I don't think Dean ever fully got all of the redemption he wanted last year when they were doing the whole Ambrose and Rollins things. Remember they really dramatized doing the fist bump and back and forth and all of that stuff.
Yep.
I think he's still friggin' pissed about 4 or 5 years ago when Seth hit him in the back with a chair.
Well,
and I think Roman was a little bit, yeah, all right, fine, you're back, whatever, fist bump, bro. I don't think Dean took it that well.
Well, and also Dean has a good reason to be pissed at Seth. When they wrote him off TV to go get his injury healed, they wrote him off with a way to be mad at Seth for costing the match against Samoa Joe.
Yes,
so
thank you.
They could
Dean's
really easily
turn.
They could easily make him a heel.
Yes.
Another question, Ryan Rugani. How would you guys book the finish to Gargano Ciampa? What he actually prefaced this with was, that he believes Ciampa has something to do. Ciampa has to do something crazy to leave Johnny laying out to continue this feud, to show that Johnny still isn't crazy enough. At the same time, it gives Ciampa an Orton type of mystique of having just no regard. So basically, he's saying he thinks that Ciampa's got to do something absolutely insane.
Also, it's one step. It's kind of what I was saying earlier. Johnny's like one step short of getting to that point of being he's crazy enough, and that's what I agree with Ryan here. To show Johnny still isn't crazy enough to get over on Ciampa. That I agree with that completely. How would I book it? I think it's what we talked about earlier. I think it's going to be everything's going to look like Johnny's going to get it, and then Ciampa's somehow going to sneak it out.
I'm actually worried that this might be a little bit of a redundant match, frankly, because it's not a triple threat. I think it's going to be a little bit redundant. It's going to be a replay of the dramatic points of the last match, which is violence, violence, violence. Johnny goes, Ciampa does something horrible. It sets Johnny off. Johnny loses his mind, does something horrible back to Ciampa, but that still somehow loses, and it makes Johnny even more insane. Yeah. That's pretty much how I'm seeing this match playing out, which, again, is sadly redundant, but I have no doubt it will be massively entertaining.
I don't care.
And then lastly, Jared over in the comments asked, do we get CZW Dean back?
Oh, no. I think we're Shield... Seth Rollins hitting him in the back with a chair and not understanding. Well, now he understands. He's had some time to go off and think about it during rehab, and no, he's still pretty effing pissed. Yeah. And he's going to come back, and I think that could be a whole thing.
I think what he's referring to is, do we get like a really hardcore Dean?
I hope so.
I really hope. I mean, we're not going to get jigsaw to the forehead Dean Ambrose. We're not going to get Titty Master on the hands Dean Ambrose, but we're probably going to get as close as we've seen. I hope we get as close as we've seen to that in the modern WWE. They have done a lot in the past of trying to build Dean up in that way, with Mick Foley giving him the barbed wire wrap 2x4, and that people crap on the Asylum match with him and Jericho. And that match was only crap because at the last second they made it go an extra 15 minutes. If that match had been the original time of the match, it would have been a fantastic match that got really way more hardcore than a lot of matches in WWE get in the modern era. Yeah.
I'll never be mad at Jericho taking thumbtacks.
I'll never be mad at anyone taking thumbtacks in the modern era. I'm sorry. That blew my mind that happened. If we get that Dean, if we get an absolutely psychotic Dean, then you have my attention. He's got the look for it right now. I really hope they go for that. Yeah.
Well, to close out the show here, guys, B-Bosh, Ryan, thank you very much for the questions this week. Guys, again, if you want to get in on the questions every single week, it's just $5 a month. It's cheaper than the WWE Network.
Buying us a cup of coffee.
Buy us a cup of coffee, and we'll gladly discuss.
And you get to ask questions every week on the show.
Yeah. Four times for that.
Plus, don't you also get like an extra episode as well? Or is that the $10 tier?
That's the $10 one.
Yeah, the $10 tier is the extra episode tier. That's going
to get to hear the Roman Reigns, the full discussion of Roman Reigns. Quick finish up here. Some other news that wasn't good enough to make the big news segment. Jeff Jarrett and GFW suing Impact. What is going on here?
Yeah, basically this is just, Jeff and Impact had their falling out with Jeff Jarrett getting released, but it was his Global Force Wrestling company that was giving a lot, was consulting with Impact and Anthem. So Impact and Anthem are still using footage that was produced under Jeff Jarrett's authority, and he's saying that you guys basically have you can't use that. That's my footage.
Never have I wanted to use a Willy Wonka meme more. You drank fizzy lifting drink, you lose. Good day, sir.
That's a great way of putting it. That's really all I have to say about it.
Peace out.
We'll see if he wants a jury trial. We'll see if the jury says the same thing.
Sorry, Jeff.
Sin Cara had surgery to remove some scar tissue in his knee. That guy is just he's always out with an injury, the poor guy. He can't seem to get any momentum going, but hopefully he's back quickly from that. The UK title match, we're talking about Takeover.
Yep. Before
the actual Takeover show, that they usually record some quote unquote dark matches, which they play the next week at the next week of NXT. Well, it looks like they're also taping the UK title match. Zach Gibson, the winner of the UK tournaments, getting his shot at Pete Dunne before Takeover, but we'll see it next week on NXT.
So how are we not going to see that on Takeover though? Because that's a live show.
Because they want to have something big to show us next week on NXT, and they want enough time for it. And I think it would run them over. They like to keep Takeovers to 2 hours, and that's just one too many matches.
Yeah. All right. It's a shame that's not getting any kind of feature. I mean, is one of your key titles.
Feature is the main thing on NXT the next week. It's probably the only thing that's going to be on there.
Anyway, not getting sidetracked. Undertaker has been announced for SmackDown Live 1000 coming up in October.
I don't know if I'm excited or not.
No.
I still.
Let's be clear. It's the Undertaker. Legend.
Of course.
I still get chills on my arms every single time I hear the gong.
He's one of the few legends where there's very few things that I can go, yeah, but that one thing, like Hogan's let me down, and Flair has all kinds of like weird, embarrassing stuff in his history. Undertaker's one of the few where I'm like, he's got some weird stuff in his history, but that's the damn Undertaker. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time,
you forgive him for the Kid Rock theme song then?
That's Kid Rock's fault, not his fault.
Oh.
But no, I still, in my heart of hearts, as much as it was kind of a sad way to go out, at the same time, I thought it was appropriate. I kind of wish he just left his coat and hat and gloves in the ring. And
Me too.
He'd never come back.
Me too.
Every time I see him, it's a little sadder. But I don't know. Maybe I'll think different when we get to SmackDown 1000. We'll see.
Next up, Justin Credible was arrested for violating his protective order.
This is crazy.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is crazy. Okay, so Justin Credible's back in jail. He violated a protective order. No one's really sure what that means, but I guess there was a court order for him to be safe with himself, and there were some reasons he gave that he was not safe, so he's in jail. The beginning of blood, lost, sacrifice, dreams, and hatred. This is become the new show, I Love, Lust, Hatred, and the Dreams. There is a new leg, and nothing in between. We're clowns, we are just yours. We are killers among men. Welcome to the blood, lost, faith, and dreams.
You know what that is? That's one of those games where you play like the auto word on your iPhone, and you're sending a text, and you just keep hitting whatever middle word comes up of the three.
I don't know.
That's a good, fair point.
I don't know.
We'll I think he has an entourage now, so
best luck
that
with
never goes well.
Future endeavors there. Speaking of Enzo, Big Cass has just signed with Championship Wrestling League in Michigan. It's a new upstart indie wrestling federation.
Good for him.
Yeah, good luck, Big Cass.
Good for him.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what happens with them.
Well, guys, that's going to do it. We are ready for SummerSlam, and not to forget Takeover this weekend on Saturday. Man, it has been back-to-back weekends of some crazy wrestling.
Big show today. We're going to have a big show on Monday when we recap both of those shows, so come back for that. We will be here live. We'll do that show live at 2 p.m. Pacific time.
I'll be sure and post in the Facebook group.
Monday, so come back and check out our live recap of the Takeover show and of SummerSlam, plus our regular show next week on Thursday, streaming to you live at 5 p.m. Pacific every Thursday.
Come over and join the Busted Wide Open discussion group on Facebook. It's a lot of fun. Come find us on Twitter at BWO Podcast. And we do have all kinds of new fun tiers over on our Patreon page. Head over to patreon.com/BWO. Sign up to get your copy of the show notes, ask listener questions, access to the monthly bonus episodes, merch, and much, much more. Head over and check that out at patreon.com/BWO. If you'd like to buy some merch and let everybody know that we are your favorite wrestling podcast, we've got some new designs up there. We've got more on the way. Head over to orbitaljigsaw.com/BWO. It'll take you, orbitaljigsaw.com/store. It'll take you over to the merch side of the business.
Indeed. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Go and join us on YouTube. It helps us. The more people get on that channel, the better things can possibly be for us. Also, your podcast app of choice. Make sure that you leave a comment and share that with your friends. And we will do our best to make this the best possible wrestling show we can for you guys.
Absolutely. But I'm Nick Howell, and you can find me on Twitter at Nick Podcast.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
But by God!
Would somebody stop the damn match?
This show is part of the Orbital Jigsaw Network. For more episodes, subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio. For details and show notes from each episode, check us out, orbitaljigsaw.com.
Woo. And we're out.
I'm sweating, buddy.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm sweating. That was a show.
That
was a long show. Thank you, everyone, for sticking around with us. Andrea, thank you for joining us at the last second there. Jared, thanks for sticking around for the whole show. I'm not sure if Judith Brooke is still with us, but I hope she's there as well.
Yeah.
And I saw Bebosh showed up as well for a second there. I believe it's hard to keep my eye on all of the stuff going on in the text in the chat thread and my notes and all the other stuff that I've got going on my computer screen.
I don't want to hear it.
Well, I know you're over there in the control booth.
The command center.
The Starship control booth over there. It's madness.
I've got a copy of Logic Pro going for the recording with the plugins going, and I've got YouTube up with the chat room.
You should you should post like a panoramic.
Oh, that'd be cool.
You know what I mean? Of the whole thing.
I don't want people to actually see what's on my screen. I don't want to give away all my podcasting trade secrets. If you will.
Y'all are missing out. That stuff is insane over there. You're right. I don't have a ton of stuff over here, but I'm also, I don't know. It's tough for me to keep up.
Your laptop's cute.
But thanks, buddy. Your beard is cute.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's going to do it. We'd love to hang out. Let's see. Go gear that tank, you damn slacker. Will do, Jared. Got it.
I don't even know what that means.
It's WoW speak.
Ah.
Yeah. In case you guys didn't know, World of Warcraft had a major expansion drop earlier this week, and that's what we've been doing for the first couple of days.
He wants a good Mae Young Classic 2 segment before it airs. Oh, from us? Oh, you want us to talk about like all of the
our predictions?
Our predictions?
Yeah.
Oh, you getting that?
Oh,
I was talking earlier with Nick about how we watched the not the bracketology, but like the parade of all the women they were bringing out, and I was just like, man, it is stacked this year with some serious talent.
So Jared sent me a bracket, and we talked about this a little bit, and I would have loved to have found a way. I hate that they spoiled this stuff and that they pre-tape it. I wanted to gamify things a little bit. And do like a bracketology tournament of sorts where people could submit, and whoever gets the most points, similar to how they do for March Madness.
Or the G1.
Or the G1. Yeah. Whoever, we'll send them a care package or something like that. The
problem with this being pre-recorded is the entire first round has already been published. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's...
Maybe we could do something from like the quarterfinals in. I don't know. I'll think about that this weekend or something. But I think they're just pre-taping all of that, and the spoilers are going to be out there.
If we can get... the problem is to put it up before it's been spoiled, but it's hard. I don't know.
I think it's too tricky to try and do that, but
yeah, he's right though. Mako Satomura coming out last in the Parade of Champions gave me all of the goosebumps. Oh my God, she's terrifying.
Right?
She's actually terrifying. I really hope they get her to stick around and fight some other people besides just the Mae Young Classic girls. I mean, it's
Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us again today on, I guess, episode 3 of our live stream. We love that you guys are coming and hanging out with us. We hope you enjoy it, too. We did have the stream bust up a couple of times today. Quick restart of it. Seemed to get it back up and running, but apologies for any drops there. Something I'll look into improving as we get more and more into it. But we're out of here, guys. Everybody have a great weekend. The audio version of this will be up later tonight. For you guys' commute in the morning or your day tomorrow. But Ian?
Yeah, man. Thank you very much again, brother. Always a pleasure.
Yes,
and thanks everybody in our chat, and thanks everyone for listening to the show, and we'll see you next time.
See you guys. Take care.